I got shit to do.
Oh, really? Do you, Matt? Well, how about you don't interrupt the intro then, and we get on with things. Bloody hell. Welcome to Plat Chat Overwatch episode 113. Matt, hush your mouth. You've already won enough with your promotion that we'll talk about later on. We've got other things to discuss. We're joined by the regular crew. Matt's back, because we're not talking about confidential information that he's privy to, because he's
I just found out Avast has
back.
cats.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have cats. They've been here for several months. They're both right there.
What are their
They've been part of
names?
this podcast for a while. There's Snickers and there's Simon, are the two cats.
Snickers and
Snickers
Simon.
and Simon.
Because Snickers
Yeah,
is a normal name for a cat. That's like, yeah, it's a
How is
candy
Simon
bar.
not a normal name?
Simon? Simon is such a human name.
Yeah, but I think that's funny though. I think giving pets like human names is cool. It's like
It's a
most
kitten.
most pet names, like 50% of all pet names are human names.
No, whoa.
Did you
There's a
just
big
make that
distinction
statistic
between
up?
calling your pet. There's like certain names that are acceptable for pets, but are also human names. And then there's some where you're calling them like Rebecca the cat. That's not an acceptable cat name. That's a human
it's
name.
There's probably a
named
Rebecca the cat. Yeah, there's probably a
dare
Rebecca
you.
the cat somewhere.
There are certain names that are reserved for humans.
Avast, you are wrong. 58% of fucking pets are human named. More than
58%.
50%.
First of all, I'm
58.
going to go two things. One, that's still the point still stands. If it's 50 to 58, that's essentially close enough, I think, in this case, to where it stands. And
That's
secondly,
close enough.
who has the information? Or is someone going through like rural India finding all of their pets that they've named? There's no fucking way
62%
that
of
is
people-
accurate.
It's just
Then
based on
that,
people that were polled or people that did a survey or something.
Yeah, but that,
Yeah,
still,
60
sample
right now,
size.
62% said that they have so many names for their pet via nicknames and what there are too many to count. So.
I want to use this actually for our comment this week. If you have a particularly weird name for your pet, be it a too human name like Paul or Simon or Rebecca, then put that in the comment and say, "Oh yeah, my cat's called Jeremy."
They're just gonna make it up now.
Well, no, don't lie on the internet.
Don't
okay?
lie on the internet.
No
Don't do it.
lies. Or if your cat is called something truly ridiculous. There's a comedian in the UK called Bob Mortimer, who's from the same area that I'm from, and
That's not a human name.
Bob isn't a human name.
Bob is a
Mortimer.
human name.
That's a cat name.
Okay.
Our sound guy name
Mortimer,
would-
the-
Yeah, it kind of is, actually. You could have a cat called Mortimer. I think that would be pretty good, actually. And he occasionally, on his Instagram, posts cat names. And I've just thought about this. And here's his most recent cat names. He said they're for sale. It's £8 for a cat name. One of them's called Tiffany Chinstrap, Slippery Douglas, Bag of Nout. So if you're interested in cat names, I'd recommend going and checking out Bob Mortimer.
No one names their animals by 2-3 words.
Why not?
Because why do they need a last name?
Why do they need a surname?
Why do they need to conform to classic naming conventions? I wouldn't say.
Well, I do ask that. Why can't they just be called Simon then, in that case? Why do they need to be called Jeremy Chinstrap or something? That doesn't make any sense. They can be named anything.
Jeremy Chin.
All right. There was some big news in the Overwatch world this week. Some big news. It was the promotion of John Spector. Who has gone from being the... Actually, I don't know what his title was. Was he vice president of Overwatch League or something?
Yeah, he was VP, yeah.
The big man.
Okay. The big dog himself. Essentially,
That was his title, big man.
He wasn't the commissioner by title, right? But he essentially was. Like, I don't think... Is there even a commissioner? I don't think there even is anymore, is there?
I don't think so.
I think our last
don't think
official
so.
commissioner was Pete Vasilica, right?
Right.
Oh, right, yeah.
Johanna, I believe, was.
I forgot about him.
Oh. Well,
So did
either
most
way,
people.
John was the person in charge of decision-making at Overwatch League, essentially. He had a team, obviously, but he was kind of the big dog at OWL, and he's moved on. His new role is now commercial leader for Overwatch, and that's the Overwatch franchise, not the Overwatch League, so much, much bigger. So Overwatch League is only small fish compared to the entire franchise. And so he was talking about some of the things that are involved. Matt, can you shine more light on what that actually means? What the fuck is a commercial leader?
I think Andy, they talked about it on Reddit, maybe a little bit. I believe the community team might have mentioned it, but it's like stuff like brand management, business development, community development, live operations, publishing, and just kind of like more for the franchise in general.
Okay, so is John going to be the person that signs the rights to a Netflix show? Is that John's job?
It might be.
Okay.
Cool.
Is
John do it.
is John in charge of when a beta drops or when the release date is?
I mean, possibly. I mean, I don't know. I think John is still like John is adjusting to the role as well, right? It's not like because Sean, obviously, who they announced is going to come in and take John's position. He starts in like a few weeks, right? So John is kind of doing double duty for a bit on both. So he's probably got. I think it would be cool to be John currently, but I also think he would not be sleeping very much and probably working all of the time. But yeah, he's got a lot kind of on his plate, right? With the commercial lead for a franchise is like a huge role, right? But I also think that it gives me at least a lot of confidence knowing that he knows the community so well and knows the game so well and been involved for a few years now. So to see somebody like that being able to move into that position is pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean, we've always been waiting for something like this, right? I mean, we've been talking about Netflix shows on this podcast for like years. Sneakers, cereals, bring it all out. We got Pringles. We got Pringles.
They had the Lucio-Os.
All right, what would be if you had to make
good.
an Overwatch TV show?
So,
what would be the storyline you would go with, Johnny? What would you go with?
The storyline, if I made an Overwatch TV show, I'd probably do about Hangzhou and Genji and their clan and their father. It almost becomes a bit like Chang-Chi-esque.
But that's kind of spin-off, though, right? That's not really an overarching Overwatch story. Isn't that like a very...
I think that's fine, though.
That's like a
prelude,
story.
okay?
Like
that's leading into it. And then you're right, like... I mean, I don't know. I'd have to make up like a world crisis on the spot and tell you what the Overwatch...
The game's full of them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the Omnic Crisis.
Right.
The crisis.
You don't have to make one up. There's already one that we've acknowledged.
I haven't heard about that in like 2 years. I forgot about it.
You know what I would do?
In a while.
If I was in charge of the Overwatch, Overwatch Netflix show, I would try and build the world of the Omnics originally, and you'd launch the Overwatch show and it wouldn't have any of the heroes in it for like the first half of the first season. It would just be a story about the Omnic world building. So yeah, like the sentience and the oppression and stuff like that, and the world kind of aspect of it. And then you'd have the fucking Overwatch heroes just bust the door down like about halfway through series 1, and you'd have the contrast of all of that like light, pretty stuff from the Overwatch heroes with the dark beginning of the season that you set up. Because I think it'd be very hard to go the other way. If you started it with Tracer and Winston, episode 1, I mean, it's Lucio-Os all the way.
The Omnic and humans, they used to live together in harmony, and then the bad guys attacked.
Yeah. Who are the bad guys, Jonathan?
Starts. Like Widowmaker, Reaper, those heroes.
Yeah, Jonathan should be in charge of writing.
That's too good.
No, like they're the bad heroes. That's what he asked, right?
Yeah.
They're called Talon, right?
I mean, there's Talon and then there's someone else as well. I'm terrible with
It's like Blackwatch, Talon, Overwatch.
Wasn't there somebody? I thought there was somebody else though as well.
Wasn't Blackwatch part of Overwatch?
You know what I would do? I would do a series based off of the Overwatch characters in the Olympics. And I would do a series based on Lucio Ball.
Bro, what are you talking about? They wouldn't be allowed to enter the Olympics. They wouldn't be allowed to compete against normal humans.
Why not?
Because Soldier 76 can run quickly.
Well,
also, I'm pretty sure like
Omnics?
isn't like Olympic stuff like heavily IP guarded? Like anything with the Olympics, they'll immediately fucking destroy you.
In fact, we should bleep us even saying the word, because otherwise that shit's gonna get DMCA'd so fast. I have a question, though, for Connor and for Jonathan here. Does it worry you or does it excite you that somebody who has been such a positive factor for the Overwatch League is now moving on beyond the Overwatch League?
It excites me. I think the biggest problem with Overwatch currently has nothing to do with the league. I think the league, for the most part, has set up all the things it can possibly do within the constrictions of Overwatch in a current game. I really don't think there's really much. There are some things I think the league could still work on and do differently, but at the end of the day, 95+%, probably maybe even higher percentage of the problems currently around the ecosystem with Overwatch are based around the game and not about the competitive ecosystem, in my opinion. So I feel like having someone as competent as John Spector, who I think has done a lot of great things with the league, and every time I've talked to him, and his conversation's always been like, I feel like I've had really, really good conversations with him comparatively to a lot of leadership positions, like when in some of the like abstract figures you think of when you think of like heading large esport leagues and like organizations. That I think I'm much more excited for him to be in charge in the role closer to like Team 4 and the corporate side of the game than I am being him in charge of the league. In fact, in this case, like Sean, like I know he's like a great guy and like he's relatively qualified for the and he's qualified for the job and everything, but they could pretty much just like keep the league on maintenance mode under everything the changes we've already made, and that would be fine because I just think the game is the issue currently, not the league.
Yeah, and for some kind of like I guess perspective, when I joined John's team, Sean was actually on it. So I worked with Sean already for a period of time.
I think Sean worked for the league from like January until March or something, 2020. No, January, September 2020. When was it? He was working for the league in 2020 for some period of time. I looked up his resume a while back and
when
I can't remember.
Joined, he had already been here for an extended period of time.
Right.
And I joined pretty much like a year, I guess, ago. Maybe a little bit like later than now, but yeah, he had been with the league. I think was trying to, do more. I think like everybody else, maybe just not the opportunity. But then once kind of this position opened up, he was really kind of somebody who made sense because he had already learned from John for like years, right? Had kind of like known a little bit of the in and outs of stuff.
Yeah. No, I agree with Avast. I think that the Overwatch League is in a good place right now. Maybe Matt do something with the off season. We're just sitting around, but like for the most part, for the most part,
turn into
like
just fucking.
Let's just berate Matt.
I don't even know. I don't even know what you do for a living, Matt. I'm gonna be honest. So like, I'm not actually like trying to offend you because I don't know what you actually do. But if you, if you actually have a part in it,
sponsor this show,
then maybe look into it. But I agree with the Avast. Like the regular season is in a good place. Don't mess with the format too much. The community likes the league and how it's ran currently and the broadcast product. So don't mess around with it too much. And I think. Overall, if we commercialize Overwatch as a franchise, as a game, and John Spector does a good job there, maybe he can come back to the league once he fixed that thing, or something like that.
So John is just roaming around Overwatch fixing shit. He's like, right, I've done with the league, on to bigger projects. The game's fucked. I'm solving it.
I had my booster shot this morning, so if I see him off the goof,
off the goof. Oh, you're off the goof.
Oh man,
you're off the goof.
Yeah, have turned his camera off. No, I think as well. I just like to see really smart people stay within our scene and just kind of go beyond our scene because, like Avast mentioned, right? A lot of the success of just the league and what goes on is. I mean, with any kind of esport, right? It's directly kind of tied to the game, right? So if the game gets back to where I think we all think it can get back to, like, and John can help lead that, I think that's just only beneficial for us and everything that's attached to just Overwatch in general, right?
All right. Well, let's move on to Matthew Morello's ego. And
I did not write this.
Matt gets promoted for no good reason. That's the lower third right here. Matt, the announcement that the Overwatch League put out, they put out like a little graphic that had some writing that said that Sean Miller was coming back and that you were. They didn't actually specify what your position was. I think they said that you would be working more in depth with the community, something along those lines.
I do everything.
What the hell are you doing? What's your job, man? What are you doing?
I do a lot. I think part of the tweet that's probably is that now I'll be able to be more kind of like, I guess, open with the community and talk more about like what I work on and what I'm doing. So a lot of what I've been doing for the last.
They're giving you security clearance. Before it was classified, but now.
Oh yeah. Before we were there, scouring through every second of these episodes to see if I fucked up.
They could have just skipped the majority of them because you just sit there and go. Just a tiny little head in the corner of your box.
Yeah.
Just wide-eyed. Wondering
whenever
what the
I got
hell we're going to
Johnny, they
say
would
next.
be like, is this lagging? Did the video freeze? Because he's just sitting there just like he is now, just smiling, just cheesing.
Off the goof.
But no, I was doing I did a lot of work on like the PvP reveal stream that we did earlier in the year. The Overwatch 2 stuff with
I like that one. That was a good stream. I liked I like that one. Can we have one of those a month? One of those every month would be good. Thank you.
Month. Yeah, sure. And then a lot of the stuff I've been working on is just kind of formats for next year, the future, just kind of like. And I think like Avast said, I don't think it's in a spot where you have to reinvent the wheel, right? It's like let's just make the proper additions and just make it better in the places that we all think we can make it better, right? So that's been a lot of the work that I've been doing for the past like few months, and I mean really a very long time, where I have made so many schedules I just want to die. But yeah, it's been really fun. I think to take an expanded role, I've learned a ton from John, and by a ton, I've learned everything as I have just
you've downloaded John,
turned into a business person. Yeah, I downloaded John. I've just sat there and just watched what John does, and I just write down the lines, and I'm like, okay, if I'm ever in this situation, this is what I need to say. John said it.
Okay.
But no, a lot of different stuff going on with the league. I mean, a lot of stuff, obviously, that can't really dive into now. But
can you tell us the whole format of 2022 right now?
No, I mean, well, I could, but no.
I mean, he did just tell you. He works on not reinventing stuff.
I see. He's not going to reinvent the wheel. So
I mean, we're going back to reinvent the wheel.
We're going back to 40 games a season, like 2018. That's where Matt's taking it.
Yeah.
No, when I make these formats, I'm like, okay, do I want to cast this many games? When I see,
that's what people were asking me as well, Matt. They were saying, does this mean Matt's not a caster anymore? I don't know whether you're ready to answer that question, but I thought I'd ask you anyway.
But why would I not cast?
I don't know, because you're busy. I don't know.
Because you're working?
Because you're working. Because you got a real job
it's not
now.
like, I mean,
you get a coffee, you fucking get out there, you start doing it. I mean, it's
I'm just asking what the people have been asking.
There's no way. This guy, he's watching Love Island. It's all just a smoke screen, so he can design the perfect casting schedule for himself. It's all just a smoke screen, so he can get the best games, the best schedule. It's all there.
I'll make sure I do all the the good games, right? Just
all the Boston or all the London Spitfire versus Vancouver Titans games. That's the ones.
Those are the ones you'll love, Matt. You'll love those.
Yeah.
You'll really like it.
Schedule those. We'll just leave those off the final schedule. No, I'm kidding.
That's interesting, though. I'm excited to see what 2022 brings. Also, hopefully, the world will be opening up a little bit. We said that last year as well, though. So who the fuck?
Can you talk about that? I got my booster shot on Friday. I'm ready to go.
Nice.
Has everyone had their booster?
I'm boosted.
I actually haven't. I need to go and get mine. I haven't.
You should. You're living in Texas, bro. You need to get one.
Dude, I can just go down the road. I've just been lazy. There's no good reason. I don't have a good excuse. I've just been lazy. I need to just go and walk down the road, and they have them at my local CVS. So
it didn't mess me up that bad. I was good. Johnny, I can see it. I can see it affecting him in real time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had the J&J initially, right? And now I got the Moderna. So it's like my body is like, oh, is this what a vaccine is supposed to be like? It's like my body is just like getting knocked out in real time.
Yeah, I didn't think about that as well because I've got the J&J, but you can't get a booster of J&J, right? Because they
no, you can't.
Can you?
I think CDC recommends it actually.
Yeah,
but
you actually can.
I've heard most stuff work. So
all right.
It doesn't really matter.
So. Johnny heard most stuff work, so he just went out and got whatever. Yeah.
We're not health professionals. If you're looking for health advice, don't listen to us. Go and listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about. But also, go and get your booster. All right, let's move on to the next topic, though, because there was an AMA that was done on... Where was it? Was it on the...
Competitive Overwatch a bit ago, I think.
Was it on the r/Overwatch subreddit, though?
No, I believe this was Comp Overwatch.
Oh, this was Comp Overwatch, because I only saw the questions and answers put together in an article afterwards. I didn't see it when I was actually live. But they talked about a bunch of different stuff. I mean, it's an AMA, right? So people ask questions and they answer them with varying degrees of specificity, depending on whether they want to answer the question or not. So I thought there were some interesting ones. Do we just want to go from the top and just kind of walk through the questions a little bit and see if there's any nuggets?
Yeah, this was on competitive Overwatch. I believe this was like I I even kind of found out about it like a little bit late, just kind of just perusing through the Reddit. But
aren't you in charge of community now at the
No.
Overwatch League? Sure.
This is not the league. This is just the game talking to
All
people.
right. I'm just
right?
busting your balls. Okay.
Yeah, the league doesn't talk to people about hero balance and design. We don't do that.
All
Why
right,
don't
well,
you?
let's take a
Or
look.
else I'd have the weapon master in.
Yeah, they stole your idea and put it in a different game, though, Matt. So unlucky on that one. Whoa,
Unlucky.
We're flying through all sorts of different screens. We're making everything look fancy. The first question, though, I think was about Bastion. They were talking about the playtest. So what was interesting just about this first question, even just reading between the lines, is that the question was kind of talking about the changes between the playtest that we saw with the pro players versus where he's at now and where he's looking to go. And you can see that people they have changed things from that playtest. So we were kind of talking about, are the teams assuming it's going to be in a pretty similar place? I think it's going to be an active project by the sound of it that they're working on pretty constantly. Because they're saying here they've buffed him in several ways. He moves faster in the sentry road, his ult starts dropping faster, and his recon fire rate has been increased, and there's some other buffs as well. But you still get destroyed pretty quickly because he's big.
I mean, I think that's probably the right way to go with Bastion, especially after his rework. That I think the slow rate of fire from him just kind of standing there really it made that not feel as great. And then obviously I think one of the things that the pros talked about the most was that his sentry mode, he just was so slow that he was just so easy to hit, especially because he's a big target to begin with, and then moving even slower, he's even easier. So yeah, I mean, I like this kind of I also think it's just good to see that they're making changes off of the feedback that the players are able to give.
Definitely.
In such a short amount of time. I think that's positive, and I think kind of keeping more of that will just be beneficial, right?
I actually think Bastion actually has like quite a long way to go before he'll be anything like viable at all. Because like even though they increased the ult dropping slightly faster, based on what we've seen, I can't imagine that still remains like a useful ultimate because of how slow it is to control and drop. And then as they mentioned, like the hitbox is so big. The thing is, like, I don't think Bastion necessarily is like a staple pillar hero yet. I don't think it's a crucial hero to the game. So I'm fine that they're like trying to redesign this hero, figuring out like what is Bastion's supposed strength supposed to be and what are his weaknesses, and they're trying to figure this out as we kind of go here. But if they don't like completely nail Bastion going into a potential beta or like a release, like I'm kind of fine with that. So some nice improvements, but like I'm not sitting here just like, why isn't Bastion? Blah, blah, blah. Like it's fine.
I also don't think every hero needs to be like a mainstay hero type of scenario.
I agree.
Like I think there should be a ton of heroes that are built for niche type of scenarios, and then also that are kind of like game mode dependent. Game mode map dependent, to where I mean, we probably don't want to live in a world in which it's Bastion 24/7. I mean, remember when he had the ironclad thing and he can live through like rocket barrage and heal himself? He was like Soldier 76 on
Bastion mains are kind of like down bad though. Like that's the only moment they've had in like 5 years of Overwatch. Like they're down bad, man.
I think though, like
they need
Bastion
a moment
and Sombra and probably some other heroes, right? Like make their kits fun first off, and then kind of adjust numbers to figure out where they fit in the niche. Like
I think the redesign did look fun. I think they've solved that first crucial piece of the puzzle.
Issue,
He looked fun to play, he just didn't look good. And also, Jonathan, on your point, Bastion mains have done it to themselves. They chose this life, so they can't be complaining about it. If you choose to main Bastion and he's never been in a good position, you can't cry about it. That's like taking the route of a Buddhist monk, and you just choose pure chastity and fasting, and then you get halfway through and you're like, oh, fucking hell. I mean, why can't we just reform Buddhism to the point where we can have more fun? Like, no, you chose this life. Stick to it, Bastion mains. You want respect as being a Bastion main, you make it work no matter what.
I don't think it's quite comparable being a Buddhist monk and being a Bastion main, but I'm glad you tried to make it work. I can see where you're coming from.
One causes more distress to others than the other, and it's definitely the Bastion mains.
You could also argue that theological reformation is easier than game design reformation because you could just make a sect. whenever you want. You can just be like,
True.
oh, this is the
Good
sect
point.
of Buddhist monks that has sex and does drugs, and like that you can just do that.
Yeah.
Well, game design, you
The
have to
rock
put
and
on
roll.
GitHub and apply it in Jira and all this other shit to make sure your tasks are done. So
I do like some of the stuff though that they've said about obviously making adjustments to some of the heroes after, but even on the fact of like trying to make the heroes fun, I think there's also been stuff that they've made decisions on that just like makes sense. Like almost should have just been like Reinhardt being able to like cancel his charge and stuff like that. Like that's stuff that probably should have existed in the first place, right? Where
Cool.
you kind of get more quality of life and just makes the game feel just smoother and you have like more control. Even just thinking about it now, like it was just kind of dumb that like you'd basically try and charge into walls to stop yourself and just get plays faster, where like you should have just been able to hit a button to do it.
Cool.
Uh
Yeah, I think the
just
quality
made-
of life is pretty decent. What's the next one?
Yeah.
What's the next or rather answer about? Because the questions are not included here, I think. So
are.
this was a question about professional feedback. So Jeff Goodman says, obviously, when you get her, I think her meaning Sombra, in the hands of a pro with amazing game sense and coordination, it makes confirming kills a lot easier. We've since focused a bit on her numbers and tweaked her down a bit to try to keep her under control while still allowing her new kit to play well. Overall, both Sombra and Bastion's kit look good, but we're still adjusting their numbers. We will continue to test and iterate both heroes as we continue development. So a bit of a nerf to Sombra, but who the hell knows until the pros
But yeah,
get their hands on
what
it
is
again.
what is the nerf? There's no actual specified nerf, right?
They just
says
said
we
numbers.
tested the numbers.
Yeah,
just
well,
numbers.
that's another thing though that you probably won't know until they get their hands on it again, right?
Yeah.
Of, like, have those numbers been down enough?
It's still good though. Like I'm sure we all agree the kit was kind of cool and it looked really fun.
Yeah.
Like I want to play Sombra, but it was hell overpowered. I like the marking system though, like the numbers were out of control. So I'm glad they're just like toning it down. And Sombra seems like a really fun hero going into Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
It like
does.
a few days of the overpowered one though. I want to see what happens if you EMP and then you get nanoed and you just start just insta-killing like whole teams.
I played some Call of Duty this past week, and the new Call of Duty is like exactly that. Like everything's just broken. You get into a server and there's just like flamethrowers and there's like missiles coming out of the sky and like people running around with shotguns. Like, it's crazy. I'm like, oh, this is what like an unbalanced game feels like. So if you want a whiff of that, just go play the new Call of Duty. It's crazy.
Yeah, good idea. Well, what's the next answer about then? Because that's stuff we've already discussed.
Hero
changes in Doomfist. Okay. So, as Jeff Goodman hinted, the team's been experimenting with making changes to different roles, including possibly transitioning Doomfist to a tank role. Let's scroll down a little bit here to find the actual answer. Josh No, it says, we're still currently experimenting with many ways to ensure that tanks are powerful and satisfying to play in this new format. One of those experiments is seeing how far we can push tank base health up before the gameplay starts to break down.
Yes.
What do you think about that as a gameplay philosophy?
I love it.
I mean, I think there's two different parts of it. Avast is just like, wait, what? The stuff with Doomfist, I think Doomfist, if he was to like be in his current form, needs to be some type of like tank, and he almost becomes kind of like a Bizarro like wrecking ball type of like disruptor, knock people around type of tank. Now, do I think you could up his health pool and keep him with his like insta kill right clicks? Like, nah, like nah, fam, like take that away. It's interesting though. I mean, even before Doomfist came out, when I originally saw like the trailers and stuff, I actually thought he was a tank or going to be a tank. He kind of had that like feel to him. I don't know how he would even work as a DPS without any of his like crowd control moves. Like, what would he do?
Yeah,
I mean, he'd basically need like all new moves, right?
He would have to. That'd be
the upping on health.
Changed.
Yeah, I mean, the upping on health, I think you'd have to kind of. I mean, it's so like you just don't know, right? Are you upping the health, but then keeping stuff like that healing reduction or something like that to try and like balance that out? Are you keeping healing the same but upping the health? And also like kind of like what is the break point of like the gameplay breaking down? Is it fights just extending as long as they are in Overwatch 1, right? And just being able to pocket one tank and keep him alive forever?
Honestly, I'm just worried about the
You just don't
damage. Like, is the damage going to be the same? Because I mean, I've been thinking for a while that like I think tanks are too lethal. Like Winston being able to like, you know, especially at the pro level, but I can imagine that like some extent, like even in diamond, plat, you know, gold, like Winstons are pretty powerful and they're able to pick these DPS and support characters off by themselves. So I'm in favor of like higher health, lower damage. I think that's a fun trade-off. That
Is
really
that
makes...
engaging to play?
That's the question, though, and that's where like the new abilities come into play. So like Winston is getting a new ability, albeit you know it's kind of damage oriented. You know, Reinhardt, for example, having 2 fire strikes. You know,
Damage
being more mobile
oriented.
with his charge and all of this stuff. Like I hope they make the tanks more enjoyable to play in that regard. And essentially just become like disruptors. I mean, I've been saying this forever now. Like I just want to be a wrecking ball without the consequences. So I just want to boot people around and just be a bowling ball and not have to worry about dying. And I say that because I'm a tank main, but also because like I don't think just because like the game to be engaging and enjoyable, it doesn't have to be like killing or eliminating other players. Like it can also be like utility roles or you know, crowd control effects and stuff like that. If you give tanks those abilities while making sure that they maybe can't like single dive like an Ana and a Lucio and like kill them off by themselves, like I think that's a fine trade-off in a damage DPS to be like a damage and support dominated game where like a lot of the damage players have a lot of impact because you only have one tank and you know support's increasingly as well. So
yeah, I mean we can argue about that, but like I think when you tell people that they're gonna play the utility role, they just go play a different role. I mean, it's the same type of thing in League of Legends. Like nobody wants to play top lane, and even when they do, nobody wants to be like the bruiser tank. They just basically want to play an ADC in the top lane just alone. Where
maybe
like,
that is the case. Maybe I'm just off the goof.
Well,
like,
I think
off
just
the goof.
I'm the tank guy. I am the guy.
It's like people who like I don't want to say people who understand the game, but like people who play the game at like a really high level enjoy that type of stuff. The people who probably play the game every day just want to get in there and hit shit. They don't really, you know, they're not really like worried about, you know, upping their shield management or, you know, knockback potential. They just want to get in there and fuck shit up. Where I think
maybe I'm wrong.
But there's also a lot of
it's
people
a balance, though. There's probably going to be a balance.
There's a lot of people who love playing support. You know, people who play Morello or people who play Ana, and that's all they play, and all they do is play it in a healer role. They don't go in there to try and run into the backlines and kill everyone as Moira. Sure, there's some of them, but there are people who just love playing support to help their team, and they get satisfaction from a clutch heal that helps somebody survive or whatever. So I think you could make something that was more of a tank that didn't get kills, but there has to be something in the gameplay loop that people find really rewarding that's tied to success. Like what do you do that you visibly help your team succeed rather than just existing? And
right.
that's why I've always thought that Roadhog, in theory, seems like it should be such an interesting interesting hero to have not insta-kill people. Because if you can land a good hook and the rest of your team finishes somebody off, that should feel really engaging to you. Like that exists in a ton of MOBAs. You're just a hook engager, and you hook someone like from the other fucking side of Narnia, like through the wardrobe, pull them through, and the rest of your team kills them. That's really fun in a MOBA. In Overwatch, though, it feels bad when you hook someone in and you can't finish it yourself. I don't know why, but there is a difference there.
Well, there's a mitigating factor though in Overwatch compared to League. Like the character that has the hook is also the size of a building and can be discorded and immediately destroyed. And on top of that, there's it's an FPS game, so they can sit there and shoot you versus League where you have melee champs and non-melee champs.
Yeah.
And on top of that, like there's all these other mitigating factors of Overwatch. You have bubbles, you have Diva Matrix, you have, you know, packs, you know, there's nano, like there's all sorts of stuff that where the thing is like these it's tough to compare 1-to-1 because the character design that's received that is not even equivalent, because like in League of Legends, no one has gats and are shooting each other across the map while also discording their target when you get the hook, right? So there's just a lot of mitigating factors. I think the health aspect for tanks is a fine aspect to touch, but doesn't really. God, Hugo is going fucking crazy. Hugo, so whatever's going on there, like Hugo's losing his fucking mind in Matt's background. But I think, to me, the health aspect is, I think you hit it best, Joss, actually, because you have to have a gameplay loop that's satisfying. There's a reason people don't want to play tanks, and it's because you don't have a satisfying gameplay loop, and you require a lot of help from your team to succeed. So it's one thing if you make a tank utility oriented, right? Like you could have Winston where he like lands on impact and it produces a slow effect when he lands, right? And then it makes it easier for your team to dive supports or something, you know? Like that's possible. But is that really satisfying if you yourself, you dive in, you get the slow effect and you do like 20 damage and then you die, right? Like, is that fun? Is the tank player going to have fun? People like Johnny would be like, yes, I contributed to success to my team. We won. Like we won the fight because I did this. And then 80% of people will be like, holy fuck, I just died. And then like also because I'm playing ranked, like 50% of the time my team's not going to fall up on the slow because they are too busy just fucking twiddling their thumbs and shit. So like there's like, so I think that's an intricate, like the pretty much the integral problem with tank play in Overwatch to where we can't really design utility based heroes because at the end of the day, we're playing an FPS.
Yeah, and I think that's why you see like a lot of people just in whether it's comp or like quick play, you know, you get a tank on your team, like they go for Roadhog, they go for Diva, they go for Zarya, right? And it's I think you kind of like have those three because they have defensive capabilities that keep themselves alive for longer. So you kind of feel like you're accomplishing something there by being the tank, by actually being tanky. But then they also have really good damage capabilities, right? Where, you know, Roadhog, I mean, half the time people just play him like a DPS, just wandering around trying to get hooks, you know, vaping to get out of harm's way.
I mean, you guys have great points, but I'd also like to add that like the biggest reason why you're like saying that people aren't having a great time is because you die. Like a lot of these tanks are just getting bullied, and I do think that the primary reason why a lot of people like they don't want to play tanks is because they feel kind of helpless. Like they get bullied as Reinhardt versus May, or like Winston, you dive in and then you just like vanish against Discord Orb, or like whatever, you know, McCree gets flashbang and right click you and you're dead, and like they have no survivability. So I feel like a lot of like Matt is just
Matt's,
having like a great time.
Smoke detectors
The fire alarm, Hugo. But
Hugo smelt the burning before. Is it that candle behind you? Have you set fire to something, Matt? You set fire to the back of your head.
He can't put on his mic now because we'll just hear the fire alarm. But essentially, I mean, I just want to wrap it up. But it's like I think one of the main reasons why people don't like playing tank is because they just die. Like they die.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
So fast, and maybe not.
No, I understand.
Yeah, but I don't think health is the solution to that, though. I feel like the solution is utility, but it's utility that improves your chance as a tank of not only surviving but also capturing kills. I don't think you want utility to be based of like, okay, your utility is set up to make your team succeed, right? Like an ideal world where everyone's brains function properly, and you get into rank queue, and everyone's like, okay, I can't wait to work together with my team to kill the enemy team. Like. That would make sense, right? That would make sense in terms of the context of Overwatch. Is like, okay, when we are going to design tanks that their utility is like, sure, they're not great lethality, but they're really, really good utility to set up their team to succeed. And you have huge impact by slowing or stopping or delaying the enemy team so your team can get to them. But the reality is it's not really how it works for the majority of the public game. And like you could argue, well, we should balance around pro play, but I think like we still have to start from a base game level somewhere, and tanks is like the core issue for an FPS game. And I would rather the utility that they receive be a utility that mitigates other damage so they live longer and can have more effectiveness, especially if used properly, and B, utility that allows the tank themselves to capture kills versus helping their team.
It's certainly an interesting topic, though, because we've been talking about it for a while now, and it's something the developers are pursuing. Yeah. We will not be able to see the test results until there's another, I don't know, the pros get to play it or something. So I'm intrigued to see what the solutions or resolution of this might end up being. What was the next topic to discuss?
Yeah,
Matt, has your house burnt down?
No. They actually just came by to test the fire alarms.
Okay, lovely. Like Overwatch World Cup.
Thing.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. I do remember Overwatch World Cup.
Happened.
I was thinking about that the other day. BlizzCon 2019. I was like, damn. Remember BlizzCon?
I can give you a quick rundown on some of the other stuff, and we can pick out like whether it's worth going into. They're taking a look at tuning for Storm Arrow and Echo's Beam to be less lethal against tanks, but keep them powerful in other situations.
So specifically, they would do less damage to tanks.
Maybe, I don't know. It's unlikely they'll remove out a sleep dart, but looking at other non-tank CC to remove them, or kind of change them, figure out
further down.
And then the last thing was they were talking about the healing reduction in combat changes. Which they mentioned that it's a little behind the scenes for the game dev perspective, but the new kind of healing passive, it's a shortcut for them to find the approximate value of what it should be changed to instead of adjusting the value from playtest to playtest. So they only have to change it rather one time, and it's a way they can change it and not have to like go in and change the individual number for each hero, right? Just a blanket kind of, I mean, they mentioned it there, just like a blanket healing script that kind of covers all of them to get a test to see, probably it's like, okay, should we just nerf healing by 20% across the board, right? Or should we nerf by, X? It's probably a way that they can figure out how to adjust that type of thing with the tank health pools. But
that's specifically for in combat.
That doesn't make sense
across the board.
If they have a blanket thing that they can do when you're in combat, then they could apply a blanket thing the whole time. So the fact that they have an in combat thing indicates that they are interested in the idea of having a distinction between in combat and out of combat, not just as a shortcut.
So then they also mentioned that the team does, however, understand that having to heal large health pools between tanks when healing output is low isn't ideal. They're considering adding a bonus heal multiplier to the tanks as a passive. But the solution to this circumstance could end up looking like something else.
I'm telling you, Matt, we are when we're casting, if we're casting Overwatch League next season in Overwatch 2, we're not going to have a clue what's going on. there's going to be so many new passives and stuff, and like the heals are going to do different amounts for different people. It sounds
it's
like
basically like starting again is like a new game, right?
It sounds like they're being very thorough and exploring many different solutions to problems, but the things they're testing are complex, actually. And then again, Overwatch 1 has some pretty complex mechanics in it as well that people took years to figure out, to be honest.
I still don't like touching health pools that much, specifically when I think about this again. So they specifically talked about how they didn't want Echo to constantly get value from replicating tanks, but yet we're going to raise all the health pools for the tanks and make them be able to get healed more, theoretically, right? In like one example. So when you universally touch health pools versus, I think, tuning tanks to be much more of like the user input determines their survivability and their lethality versus just making them a big beefy fucking boy. Like, I prefer where I just don't like this idea of like health pools is like the factor. Obviously, there's still, knowing Overwatch, there's going to be another 10 more years till Overwatch 2's out. So, like, okay, they have plenty of time to fix this. Like, okay, it's not a big deal.
The developers' children will eventually work and inherit the project.
When we go with the colony ships and wake up from cryostasis and we're on Mars, like, then we'll have Overwatch 2. Like, okay, the health pools could be like the first thing they're looking at here. But I just don't like the idea that their exam. I know this is like obviously not their whole design philosophy, but when they're throwing out health pools as their first things they're looking at, I much prefer like more solutions that are much more user input in terms of tank survivability and lethality versus just, okay, now you have 10,000 HP and your Saxon Hail and everyone has to hunt you on the server. Like, I don't like that.
I do think though that probably, if you, I agree. I think if you are like, what more defensive capabilities could you add though? As like an input, because when I hear defensive capabilities, the first thing I think of is like shields. And it's like, okay, would you rather add more, I guess, bigger interactive shields, or just fucking eliminate the shields, give them fucking the extra health and just use their bodies like Roadhog?
I'd rather be interactive. I thought it would be like, imagine Reinhardt has like, you get into the midst of combat and you have the ability, you have a very small window for an ability to pop. And like, if you pop this ability at the right time, like you mitigate X amount of damage, right? But if you miss the timing window, you take full damage. But if
Right.
you pop it correct, like, and there's can even be a scale in it, right?
stuff
you pop
like,
it X amount of seconds later.
I was gonna say
A bit like a
fortify
self
almost.
Zarya bubble
Yeah.
or a Wrecking Ball adaptive shield. These ways
Yeah.
of interacting
But it's all based
to
off
mitigate your
timing,
own
right?
damage.
Like but you could base it based off your timing, based off your proximity to enemies, based off like a combination of some other ability. Like there's lots of ways to where you can combo utility to make the tank user, be very in charge of their own fate in terms of doing damage and reducing their damage without having to have universal buffs across the board.
I wonder if there's some type of thing where, I mean, it would definitely be like a stats thing of, obviously it became like a meme, right, with all the shields in Overwatch. That is there some like, like players kind of just having a negative feeling towards playing characters with shields where, you see Reinhardt, you assume your only job is to just stand there and put your shield up, where that doesn't really scream to be enticing. Where like, a character like Wrecking Ball and shit, right? That's super fun, right? The adaptive shield, you land in a whole pile of enemies, you pop it at the right time.
I mean,
Like,
people also get pissed off playing against Wrecking Balls, and the adaptive shield like baits people into thinking that they've got him, and then it pops the adaptive shield, goes up to 500 health, and pisses off. I've never seen people as mad in my games as when you play against a Wrecking Ball, and they're like, "Someone stop him, please! Find him, hunt him down, and kill him. He just rolls through us and gets away every time." So, I don't know, man. People enjoy a range of different things.
Tanks are fucking hard, man. They're hard
It's
to
very
do
difficult.
in League of Legends. They're hard to do in Overwatch. Like, whenever they're out in League, it's, and a lot of times in League, they have, like, tanks who then can buy items that give them basically, like, lifesteal. So, if they get ahead, they're basically unkillable for the whole game. And
That's
then
your
they
ult.
just
Your ult is you get
dominate.
lifesteal as a tank.
Yeah. That's when they have the vampire
Imagine
tank.
Reinhardt with lifesteal just swinging his hammer in between a whole group. Just
Wouldn't that be kind of
siphoning
fun,
hell.
though?
Let's
Wouldn't that
add
be
an
a kind
item
of
store
fun
to
ult?
Overwatch.
At an item store.
Let's have
Add
an
a
item
secret shop in the bottom lane.
Give us the talent trees. Give us the PvE talent trees for the PvP environment.
Great idea. Great idea.
Exactly. But
And
to wrap it up, I just think like I have full faith. Maybe this is full on copium right here, but I got faith in the balance team, like because the past year has been like so good balance wise, and like we had so many medals and all that stuff. It just feels like they're playing around with so many different things, and like I don't think that they're all doing it at the same time. Like I don't think they're doubling Reinhardt's health pool while they're giving him 2 times the healing. Like they could try out one thing one day and the other thing the next day.
Yeah, I don't think it's a complete view.
Yeah.
I just think like they're spending a lot of time talking about health, and I'm like,
5 months away from the beginning of the season, by the way.
I just find it like a bit like aren't we like in a pretty decent place? And I realize like 5v5, it changes the setting, it changes the dynamic of the heroes a little bit, but I'm like do we need this? Like how many multipliers do we need? Like I get you want to make it engaging and like feel special and like everything is like whoa, but like we could go down that road later, like just give us like a good default game and like change things from there. Like
I am cool with the in combat healing though, because it would mean that as soon as the combat actually starts, there's like selective moments where you're going for heal as a support, and then the rest of it you're actually much more focused on doing damage potentially or mitigating damage. So I think there is like cool concepts about like the in combat healing.
It worked pretty well in TF2, but I think people thought of it as crit heals where you could get higher heals out of combat. People in Overwatch, just because the way they've presented it, now thinking about lower rates in combat, which makes a big difference to player perception of like, for fuck's sake, I can't heal them as quickly as I used to be able to. God damn it, you took some damage.
The overheal though, so like that was a very big, which we don't have in Overwatch.
And D.Va just shoots you across the map, and suddenly you're in combat. So that's also unlucky. All right, let's go on to talking about some Overwatch League stuff then, huh? So the 2 Zhou teams have made a couple of moves, but we talked a little bit about the Guangzhou Charge. So let's talk about Hangzhou Spark. They announced some coaching changes, and some of these are pretty damn interesting. So they posted like like 4 or 5 tweets because they're bringing back a bunch of their previous coaches, and then they have a cool little surprise at the end as well. So we've got Supervisor Anu, we've got Gandalf.
That's phenomenal name.
Incredible name.
Amazing.
Incredible name. And then we've got Changun, who's the new head coach. New head coach. Yeah, I was trying to rifle through my head to see whether he'd ever been head coach before, because Spark have gone through like 7. But yeah, Changun has been around for a long time as well. And then they've got the assistant coach, I believe, is returning, right? This guy was already with the Spark.
Yeah, it was a supervisor.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's
What that
now
means.
being moved up to assistant. I don't understand what the roles mean, by the way. I don't know what supervisor means.
No,
Does anyone know?
Supervisor. Well, I mean, this it says it's just assistant coach. Who's the supervisor again?
The
He moved
supervisor
from
was at the top.
supervisor. Or
It could just be that a supervisor
GM?
could theoretically be GM, or it
Could
could
be.
even mean a team manager. So
Ooh,
No,
Well, I don't
think
think you
team
go
manager
from
as well.
GM to assistant coach.
sure, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's true. Yeah. Supervisor
That's,
might just be assisting the team manager, maybe. Anyway, we're moving
Yeah,
on.
I think so. You know,
The final one is the one that people are most interested in because here's Miro,
My
absolute
man.
legend of the Overwatch scene, one of the greatest tanks to join the early period.
The
of
only
the game.
player qualified for the combine.
Yes.
Also, his Twitter
The only
tag
player
is now
qualified for the
Overwatch
combine.
2. It's a Miro_OW2. is
He
his
changed
Twitter
it like a
tag.
week ago.
Which I
That's
find really
phenomenal.
funny.
I said
find
that last
really
week.
funny.
I said Miro had changed his name to OW2,
I
and
can't remember that.
here he is getting announced. Yeah, it's pretty cool. What do you think about Miro becoming an assistant coach? He's definitely one of the players that figured out how to play tank effectively first. He's probably the player that figured out how to play tank effectively first, right?
He was like the Winston, right?
Yeah.
I mean, remember back?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he was like the guy that defined Winston really, I think, coming into his own on the meta in many ways, and like being like, and the West for a long time. I mean, it was a Winston meta, but I don't think people really saw how much fragging potential that Winston could have until Muro kind of changed the game a little bit in many ways. So I do think that he's an innovator. I'm gonna say the same that I think about every player becoming an assistant coach. 50-50. They're good or they're bad, And by good, it's like a range, It's like, because honestly, there's no qualifying factors behind it. And I think when you take player resumes to be like, oh, like this guy's gonna be really good at it, that's just not necessarily true. So
He has been working as a coach in Contenders, right? For like some period of time. I can't remember who's been working with though.
There's also
Team Diamond, right? Okay.
Yeah, there's also two different types of players. I think, like Avast, like mentioned, there's some players like Miro who, they were able to figure things out early and really kind of like master it. But then once the game started to evolve, he didn't really kind of have that grasp on it. But then I think there's some players who are kind of the opposite, where they may not kind of figure it out straight away. They may need a little bit to learn, but once it starts to get into the strategy and really kind of in-depth positioning and stuff like that, they excel in that regard. So I think depending on the type of player that moves into a coaching role, I think, especially with a new game though, like somebody like Miro who is able to pick up Winston and really kind of look at it differently and define it, may actually end up being a benefit, right?
Yeah, but then how much value does Miro give long term, right? Like theoretically,
you don't
Miro's
know.
skill, exactly. So there's always like, when you look at skill sets, I feel it's kind of just, we're gonna have to wait and see, which is like such a non-answer. I know, because we're a podcast, we're supposed to be generating like, this is so fucking cool, like hype. But like it's just how I feel about player signings at this
Do
point.
we ever generate that? I
beaten
feel
into
like
it.
people just come here because we say stupid shit and it gets them.
No,
angry.
we've generated hype before.
Have we?
Surely.
Like what?
Name one
I think-
time. Name
I don't
one
know.
hype.
Couldn't tell you.
Oh,
Can't
you're a
haven't
hype
been on-
fan, are you?
yeah,
Name
do you
all the
remember when you
hypes.
were-
name all the hype.
Yeah, when you were a fan of the show, were there any moments where like we got you hype?
Oh, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch you guys, so I have no idea. I have no idea. So
What do you mean?
All right,
didn't watch you guys.
all right. He's just being mean, Matt. It's okay. Just
We're the number one Overwatch podcast ever.
Yep.
All time.
There's really not that much competition though, is there? It's quite a small scene.
No,
So
nobody. There's no other podcast. We're the only one. This is the
that's,
only,
I mean that's
the only one
factually
you guys can
incorrect.
watch. No,
This is,
Factually incorrect.
definitely, yeah,
and now
no,
we're putting
no.
Matt in a position of leadership. This is
I know,
fantastic, guys.
I know. He's
can't
gonna
wait to see what's
squash-
happening.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
gonna
Promote him.
squash all of the other podcast platforms. He's gonna give us exclusive rights to everything. It's gonna be
If we just
tyranny.
ignore our problems, are they problems anymore? No, they've just gone away.
I'm-
right?
I'm
I mean,
here for
I
supporting
literally
capitalism.
just feel bad for Tactical Crouch because that's the only competing podcast. And it's only these guys that Matt have now put his aim towards.
We
so-
should
Not
have
anymore.
we
Not
should have
anymore.
a battle.
A podcast battle.
Podcast battle. I
A
don't know
rap
what
battle.
we would do.
Avast
I don't
Avast
think
had
a
a
rap
pretty decent rap battle
Yeah, it
against
was
Wyatt
solid.
that we did. I mean, he got
Yeah.
murdered. He
A
got
rap
actually
Yeah,
murdered.
but then Wyatt,
did actually
Wyatt
listen
went
to that.
way too hard. Like I was like trying to be like, oh, there's a few fun jabs here and there, and Wyatt was like, "Fuck you, you're so stupid and ugly." And like I was just like, okay, like, well, that's very friendly over here, Wyatt. So sure.
Yeah,
But
he
I
did.
do,
He
we
did
should
put you
loop it
6
back.
feet
Like,
under.
into the coaching stuff a little bit. That Miro is cool. Come back. I think that's interesting. I think the more controversial signing is Chengun out of this.
Then okay, just on Miro to wrap up Miro first. Sure. I love the Toby signing, and I had that take trying to generate hype last time around. This one, not so much, because everyone just like, yeah, Miro, he was like, the first Winston, like he mastered Winston and all that kind of stuff. And I actually did like an episode, like a review of an Apex match with Costa like this past week. And we talked about that as well. Like Miro was like the first Winston that you really put resources into, like, because we played Winston like in the West, diving in, pure like Froggy style from Philadelphia Fusion in 2018, just like diving in, making space. But Miro was like the first Winston that really got resources, like from nano boosts, primary healing from like Rija Hong and all this kind of stuff to really like facilitate how you play Winston.
He was the first Winston that lived past 5 seconds of.
Yeah, but like. That's kind of like all he did, and like that was his entire career. It's like he did that play style, and then when the Overwatch League came around, like he kind of faded away, and that is what concerns me. When you have someone like Toby, who he's a head coach, which is like a big step from assistant coach, but he at least like evolved with the game, and he gradually like changed up its play style. He took on new heroes as they were released, and showed that he constantly, in the face of change, could like figure out a play style that works for him and figure out how to evolve with the game. Whereas Miro, like, he just got replaced by Rija Hong in 2018 because he couldn't adapt to the Overwatch League and figure out, like, rethink the way he played Overwatch. So that concerns me going into a coaching role. But like Avast said, like, it's 50-50. Maybe he can bring something to the table, and like maybe he's becomes like one of the best coaches, and maybe I'm underrating him, but that is one point of concern. Like, if you're a coach, but in your playing career you couldn't, rethink your own game and like do the thing to yourself. Now you're gonna try to impose that onto others, and you're going to be this like tank specialist going to Overwatch 2. We'll see how it works out. But I'm slightly more concerned because Miro couldn't evolve with the game as it was evolving.
I think that's a reasonable concern. Hangzhou also had another update this week, which was the retirement of GodsB, who was previously with the Hangzhou Spark, and that takes their DPS line down to just Architect and Shy, I believe, off the top of my head. GodsB's been a player that's been around for a long, long time as well, and he just put out a thing just saying, I think he basically said that he was going from GodsB to just being him now. He's just a normal person. So he's like, I'm gonna update my Instagram and do some other stuff, but I'm just a normal dude now. So like, if you want to follow me, you want to follow me. But like, I'm big time chilling now. So he's just off doing other stuff. He said that this was just the period of his time that made the period of his life that made the most sense. And he's had some challenges within the Overwatch League, but otherwise enjoyed his time competing. Definitely a player that has had some extreme highs though within Overwatch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think this past season, he definitely just kind of like fell out of the roster, right? Where I think even for the future, it was kind of hard to figure out where he would fit in, especially with how well Shy played, and then obviously Architect being somebody who looks like they want to build around for the future, and kind of have around in multiple different roles. It's probably hard to find playtime or find a way back to playtime where, if you're in that type of position, right? If you're a player who was a starter, who's now on the same team, doesn't have really type of role, probably pretty hard to be like, I want to commit myself to scrim and practice all the time when you don't really see a path in sight. So it's tough to see him go. I think he's a very talented player, but I can understand the position that he was in.
I mean, he also retired, or not retired, but he left Hangzhou Spark early, like in June, right? Remember, it was him and Takoyaki who left the team like before the season even wrapped up. So he's, if he's been playing a lot, he's been grinding out in ranked, and maybe he's spent some time practicing internally with like some contenders teams or something. But like, he's probably been around those kind of lower level teams for a few months, knowing how career trajectories work. And at this point, if he hasn't been picked up by an Overwatch League team, he has to make a choice, like, hey, am I going to continue grinding in contenders, or as someone who's already been playing for Hangzhou Spark now for 2-3 years almost, like since the inception of Hangzhou Spark, like, do I really want to go down to tier 2 again and start grinding down there again for lesser pay, which makes living conditions tougher. It doesn't seem like he's gained any Overwatch League offer. So I think this just makes sense for him as a person, like moving forward. He's 25, going into adult life now, picking up something else. So kind of how pro player careers work, maybe it's time.
Yep.
I mean, even though like I think a new game comes out, right? People start playing like ranked and whatnot. Like maybe there's a world in which like down the line he's able to work his way back, not even through contenders, right? Just playing the game and being somebody that people recognize.
Sure, I agree with that. But then because Overwatch esports ecosystem is so vastly different from other esports, it's like that's still like 1 year down the line. Because if Overwatch, no, that's even more. Like I just imagine like Overwatch 2 comes out when Overwatch League starts. When in actuality it doesn't. We don't know when the game comes out, so that might be like 2 years. But
yeah,
because like in Valorant, say like if Valorant 2 or whatever dropped, like you'd have all these like freelancing members, in pugs, in discords, and like they'd be on one team 1 week and then move on to the next week. Like they'd have this whole thing where like you can join open tournaments and participate in tournaments so many different ways. Like all we have is like the Overwatch League and then contenders, which is like your 2 options. And if you don't want to play contenders, well, like you don't really have an option. So it's a tougher ecosystem to like really grind through, because you don't have those open tournaments where you can like freely move around, try out new teams, try out, you met someone in ranked and it's like, hey, you want to scrim this upcoming week, and like you can't really try that stuff out as much because Overwatch esports system is so closed off compared to other free esports.
That's a good point.
We had some other roster updates as well. We've lumped them all together in a topic called Weekly Roster Update because, frankly, there was no enormous news that deserved its own. Hello? Hi?
I'm raising my hand. Wait, I'm raising my hand. We didn't talk about Changoon at all.
Oh, sorry. Go on. You said Changoon and then you didn't finish your sentence.
I thought
sorry, Avast. I interrupted you.
Yeah, I thought we were talking
about.
Sorry.
So record scratch. Take it back.
Yes.
That's to me
take the
most.
Here.
Well, I mean, I thought we were all on the same page here. Changoon. That's the coaching decision. If we're going to talk about anything that is probably the most controversial for Spark, where I think we can all agree that the Spark, a big part of the Spark's issues this past year was they weren't able to find a consistent roster that worked for them, and they had very, very lackluster synergy when they played, which generally you can relate back to coaching, but isn't always the case. But like generally, that's like the most obvious front-facing side of coaching.
Sure.
And Changoon most recently with the Seoul Dynasty. In fact, and obviously this is fans being fans, spiteful, but there was, in terms of, if you ever to go out to the social media things, when Changoon was released from Seoul Dynasty, there was a general party in the streets vibes for Seoul Dynasty. Okay. Does that mean that Changoon was always the prom for Seoul? I don't know enough about the guy to say there, but he has been with them for a long time. He was with them in a coaching capacity for a while. He was also with London Spitfire season 1.
Yeah.
But the infamous rumor was that in season 1, the team just kind of said, fuck you, we're going to do what we want. And then they won the league. So like, and ignored him completely. That's like the infamous rumor behind it. But like, who actually knows? There was a lot of rumors around London Spitfire season 1. So who actually knows like how many of them were true, how many of them were not true. So, and now he's been in charge of Spark after what many would say very underwhelming seasons with Dynasty. So when I look at Spark and what the organization their past year was, and you get a coach that is historically their most front-facing role has been on a head coach for a team that has underperformed historically compared to what their expectations were. Where does that look us for Spark? Where does that look? And also they're getting some unproven assistant coaches like Miro, right? Who have
looks
like
another
obviously been
year.
around, but
looks like another year of the same. That's what it strikes me as. I think you need someone with an incredibly clear vision to take Spark out of the mire. And I don't think Changoon has that, but I don't think many people have that. I don't think that's necessarily a knock against Changoon. It's just that he isn't a like a heavy hitter when it comes to the coaches that we have in the league. He's just someone that kind of, I don't know, does his job and goes from place to place. He doesn't seem to, I don't know. I don't think he seems to make a mess of the place while he's there. He's just a polite visitor from franchise to franchise.
The way you described, though, the Spark, I've asked, like, they've been that way really since the beginning of OWL. Like, they've been kind of like, this team has talent, but then they're all not on the same page sometimes.
Dude,
and it just seems like
I think last
2019
year was
Goats,
far worse than
season was the
2019
best.
than
The
before. I think
first
last year was
season they
their
made
worst year.
fourth place,
first
and they
season, yeah.
really learned how to play Goats, and they played it to a really high level. And that backline, especially with like, yeah, it was like baby. Who the fuck was that Brig player? Was that GodsB?
It was what IDK.
I wasn't
and
IDK. IDK was their main support for at least
Yeah, but
2
IDK
years.
was on Lucio.
Was it?
No, it
There
was
was-
Adora. It was
Adora.
Adora was
Yeah,
the Brig player.
Adora.
And that trio, it's not big names at all, but that that backline was sick in that
They were
season.
very well coordinated. They
Yeah,
had
super
good
well
teamwork.
coordinated. And then when I've been watching them last year, I was watching the Spark and I was like, why is this team so bloody awful? And they have no coordination between their front line and their back line at all. Like the way that they move around the map is completely as two separate units. They're not well, it's almost irrelevant analysis at this point because we're going into a totally different game. But I think you need somebody who's got the muscle to bring the team together and forge a vision for them. No, I don't think it's Changun, but I don't think it was any of their previous coaches anyway. So I think it's just going to be another year of the same. Do you think they're going to go downhill, Connor?
I'm not sure, honestly. I really don't know. I feel like, to me, if Changun comes in as but underwhelming, but at least produces a cohesive vision with their roster, there's a chance they'll at least be more consistent, is the thing. Like, you don't necessarily have to have a god coach to tell you, okay, here's how we're fixing our problems. But if he's coherent enough to be like, these are our players, here's our rotation, and here's our approach to the game, which I felt like Spark never really had at all this past year, then you can at least potentially produce something out of that system. That's like a very baseline thing, right? But who knows if that's the case, because Seoul Dynasty has always, under Changun, has never really, when I watch them play, they've had they've had the opposite of producing systems. They've had Marv 1 on tank, on off tank, and then off of tank. And then so like who really knows exactly where we're going to be going with this roster direction. But maybe he can do that, maybe he can't. It doesn't seem like in his past history that he's someone to turn the franchise around. So, and there's still a ton of moves to happen because with the roster, I think, though I guess Spark, they haven't really dropped that people, I believe, at this point. Now, when I think about them, like
They
their
kept
current
a ton of people,
roster
right? I'm looking it up,
is.
yeah.
Let me take their current roster again because I need to see. So yeah, they currently have underneath them Goushway, Architect, Shy, Ligue, and Bernard.
Yeah.
DA's a 2A player.
And Ligue is a 2A, yeah. So I do feel like, and also in general, all the Chinese teams this offseason seem like they're moving far slower in the offseason. I've heard some stories where everyone, like the Chinese teams, have reached out to like various teams and been like, "What's going on, guys?" And it's like, we're on break. And it's like, yeah, motherfucker, we're on break building for Overwatch 2. Like, so like, I guess like there's like a general slowness in the front offices for a lot of these Chinese teams in the offseason comparatively to a lot of the Western teams, which is pretty interesting. That I wouldn't expect that, but that's just how it's happened, it appears. So we really don't know what the final form of Spark is going to be under Changun, but when you look at their current lineup, they have no supports.
Yeah.
They have no currently contracted supports. So I think when you look at the core of like Goushway, Architect, Shy, Ligue, and Bernard, especially if Ligue plays, because they've kept him under contract and he just because of various issues wasn't able to play this past year, then it could change up this team significantly, because I still, like, everyone admits Shy's another. Goushway still has potential, and Architect, has shown potential, but hasn't really been showing it recently. So
They're not far off of being like a pretty decent team. Where we know Goushway in the past has been pretty good on all the heroes that we know him to be good on, like the Winston, the Reinhardt, etc. Like if they can get Ligue back, and then Shy was nutty last year. You think in a game that has more emphasis on damage and carry potential, maybe he could be an even better part.
They're pretty fucking far away, though, Matt. They're pretty far away. I mean,
well, what, you find two good supports, and you look at APAC. I mean,
yeah, there's a couple of good like APAC supports in contenders.
Maybe, but the thing is, I feel like a lot of the best options have been snapped up already. So it's
they don't have 40% of their roster. They don't have any support, and they've still got the communication issues because
just put Architect on support. We've seen him play some Ana, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there are some very good like Chinese like support still left. Yeah, there are some good, but the thing is, like, who knows? There's a bunch of other Chinese teams still building their rosters, and then once again, we still have got a coach that has had a history of like mixed results and sporadic results going into a roster that still has consistency.
Go full Chinese at this point. Just do it. Who are you keeping on this roster in order to not go full Chinese? Well, you think?
I mean, they picked up like a Korean coaching staff, and there's a
Yeah, I know. It
Gandalf
doesn't.
is Chinese. Anu is the supervisor.
I'm sure they're not going to go in that direction, but when you look at the talent that they have available, it's Gushu and Shai that you should be building around. If you've already let go of your backline, you're not building around Banar.
And Ligue, theoretically, if he plays.
Yeah, if he plays next year, it's a new tank kind of situation, so who the hell knows who's going to be good, but I'd trust Gushu and Liga if I'm going to trust anybody.
Yeah,
they don't have 40% of the team, and they weren't great last year.
No, they weren't. They weren't great last year. I agree with the sentiment of Avast with like Changun that like he doesn't have a history of like imposing these like great coaching structures and that stuff. But I do still like I want to see what he makes of this team, because so much of his coaching experience has just been like with profit and gesture, starting out with like GC Busan on Spitfire, Seoul Dynasty, and I'm sure that affects like the internal, hierarchy and like who has input on like the strategy and what players should be subbed in and subbed out. And I can see him like giving it up some of that power to some of his players and like getting everyone's feedback. But in some teams that can also be like a benefit. For example, the Hangzhou Spark, who were a bit of a disappointment. Like, hey, are we gonna rally together? Like, let's get everyone going. Everyone can input. Like, let's get this team working as a team, rather than like as Josh mentioned, just like the tank line working separately from the support line, etc. So I think that it's like it has its pros and cons. Like, do you want to have like a really strategic coach that maybe doesn't like associate with his players as much, or do you want to have like a really friendly buddy coach that maybe doesn't have the best strategy, etc.? I think there are pros and cons with both. For example, Moon is someone who, by accounts isn't the most like strategic, reliable coach, but he's fantastic at building like a team environment and making all his players feel like valued and getting everyone on the same page, great chemistry. And that's why Shanghai Dragons have been so great. So I think that Changun, while his resume is so much of like questionable substitutes and structures and stuff like that, maybe he could come into the Hangzhou Spark and sort out some of those issues with a team that has felt very up and down, felt very inconsistent and a bit questionable at times. I want to see what he can do with this team and a new experience without Profit and Gesture and some of those guys alongside him.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just becomes like one of the, what's the Vancouver Titans coach? I'm blanking now.
Well, there's
which
Wubby.
one?
There's Wubby and
with
the other one.
No, in 2019.
Oh,
Runaway as well.
Oh, Pajon.
Pajon.
Yeah, and he just like immediately just like let go by the Hangzhou Spark. Like maybe Changun just like pulls up Pajon and gone in a couple of months. But I do believe that like maybe he could be also the right thing for this team, and they'll figure out some of those inconsistencies and overcome that. Maybe.
We've had our Changun session.
Yeah.
And now we may move on back to our weekly roster update, which is the collection of the updates that we've had so far. I think some of them we've already discussed when they were being reported and rumored, and now some of them are more official. Jonathan, take us through this week's weekly roster update.
Adam signed to Florida Mayhem. Ba-ba-da-ba.
I do feel good for that guy. He got shafted something rotten last year by the whole...
Yeah.
I mean, he got shafted more than anybody else, I would say, because he was about to escape from Oceania, and he just gets shoved back down into the southern hemisphere. Has he been spending all of his time in Australia? Did he have to, like, stay in Australia? Or did he get the chance
for Boston Uprisings Academy. Boston Academy.
Yeah, did he actually move to NA, though? Or was he playing from...
That I don't know.
I have no idea.
That's brutal ping, if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, well, I mean, he couldn't be in NA. He had to be in OC still. So I think he's been in OC the whole time.
That's incredibly rough. I mean, the guy's good by all accounts. So he's a tank player though, and tank has changed a lot. So I have no opinions. Head empty, no thoughts.
You guys said you kind of discussed this already a couple episodes ago, so I don't think
we sort of did. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's just like the game. I think it's Gunba getting the gang back together. I think Gunba is just like getting all the players that he wanted to get.
The gang back together. Checkmate Adam and Mirror.
Yeah, that's the gang. Heard about the gang? Those guys.
It's literally acquiring one player per time zone.
It's pretty. I always, I do have insight at times into the roster because I go talk to Albert, and like the one thing he's told me this entire time is that like he thinks Gunba's just a glutton for like punishment. Like Gumba doesn't ever like take a position where it's like, if you were to be like, Gumba, you're gonna have infinite money to build this roster. Gumba's like, he says like, no, Gumba's sick in the head. He wants to go to the roster where you give him like a ton of challenges to build around, and he's gonna build you this MacGyver roster. And like Gumba's that guy, is like how Albert always describes it. So I think it's really funny the way that when I hear like Albert talking about their roster building process, that Gumba's over there like in the lab, just like fucking like just going crazy, like typing up on the keyboard the hacker voice I'm in, trying to find all these weird prospects to build a team out of. Yeah. So I'm excited to see Adam. I feel like at this point, OC is still such a minor region that there's no, like, who knows exactly what his talent's going to be at the Overwatch League stage. But I mean, Punk has been very, very solid for Boston. So it's clear that there can be solid talent that comes out of whichever region you pick. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily matter. It's just like a lower chance because there's just less competition there. So considering that he was in the eyes for the Valiant coaching staff before, and is now moving over to Mayhem, I think that, and was on the best like OC contenders team, Dire Wolves, I think was their name. Let me see, double check. Yeah, it was Dire Wolves. Like there's a real chance that he'll be a very good player. I mean, I think that's kind of the name for the game for the current Mayhem team, is like you get your mixed bag of nationalities and you try to assemble like a roster that punches above its weight.
And that really is Gumba to a T. He's done that many times before. What's the next one on the weekly roster update, Jonathan?
Next signing, Lastro to the Houston Outlaws.
I like your announcer voice. I appreciate that. Lastro's a great player. I think this is a good signing. I think this just bolsters their support line much more, right?
Alongside Iris.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've also, something that's interesting that's an experiment is that they still don't have a main support. And I don't think they're the only team that doesn't have a main support still. And there are some rumors floating about that maybe there might be teams that just don't commit to a main support this next year at all. And they would rather teach flex support players to play main support if they need to flex at all. Which is pretty interesting because also as of right now, I have been told that a certain moth is still looking for offers anywhere. So like
that's bizarre.
So I feel like main support is a tough position to be in going into Overwatch 2.
That really is weird to me because no one can have confidence that Lucio or Mercy or whatever won't be good. We've seen so little of the game. You can't be confident that they won't just randomly buff the shit out of Lucio. They're like, oh crap, the pro said Lucio's bad. Let's buff the bejesus out of him. And then it comes out and Lucio's just the best character in the game, and suddenly you all need to play Lucio.
So I think that's why most teams are still grabbing
that that's not going to happen.
Yeah, most teams are still but that's why I think most teams are still grabbing main supports, right? I believe that currently most teams still have a main support player. It's just there are potentially a select few that would rather be flexible and just like grab the double flex, it seems. Potentially. I mean, the offseason is still long. We don't know. They could change the direction, right?
Yeah.
But they could potentially grab a main support at the end, or wait till mid-season and leave like their roster budget kind of flexible to have mid-season signings. So.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling through the teams right now to see who hasn't signed a main support. But it kind of gets wonky because you've got like Florida, Guangzhou, and Hangzhou who haven't, I mean, they don't have full support
rosters
lines
yet,
so you can't read into that they're not going to sign a main support player. So it's just impossible to tell with the information.
I think I mentioned it though the last time I was on that I could totally see teams going in that direction, that there were more like double flex support comps this year than ever before. And then you even saw like the shock, right? Violet plays Mercy sometimes. They had him playing some Lucio.
Yeah, but his main support wasn't really that good though.
No, I mean it wasn't very good, but I could totally see with a longer off season sitting him down being like, hey, practice this shit more, or find somebody else who can one of you two figure out how to play Lucio, the other one figure out how to play Mercy, and just kind of work things out that way. But
yeah,
it's definitely risky.
To drill down into this specific pickup, so you have Lastro there to be able to complement Iris on the Houston Outlaws. What do you think about the idea of picking up flex supports that don't currently seem to have perfectly complementary roles? So Iris is an excellent Batiste. Outside of that, we've seen limited amounts this year of what he's capable of across the board. He's played a lot of Moira as well. I think his most played this year would be Batiste, then Moira, and then honestly, I wouldn't even know what his third most played is over the year.
I can't even remember if he played Zen this year at all. I think they mostly kept with the Rush comps, which are just Batiste and Moira.
Yeah,
so.
they didn't even flex to Ana at any point when they were playing Rush. They basically just tried to play Lucio Bap the entire time, or like double flex support stuff.
But I've seen Lastro play Zen. I know Lastro is a good Zen. I know his Ana is his best hero. So his Ana and Zen are both really good. So like they have theoretically all the flex support covered. I think the mentality, if anything, is more so if you pick up two mechanically talented flex supports, then you're trusting that one of them will be able to learn main support.
Right. And that's my question is also, does it even matter looking at people's theoretical hero pools within flex supports and trying to get them to mash, or do you just need two people that are good and fuck it, they'll figure it out?
I think in the position that you're in, and without obviously knowing like really much or having seen, you almost just have to pick up the most talented players available and make it work. I think you probably ideally like to have somebody who can play the main supports, but your goal may be like kind of Avast was saying, like pick up the 6-7 players obviously who have different roles, but pick up the most talented players you can find in those and go from there.
Yeah, you expose yourself to the idea of ego though, where like players, they think that like they should play a certain hero because they are better at it. And maybe you have like a god tier coach that like teaches common sense and some humility, but for some of these teams where it's like if you had two flex supports, for example, like both are really good at Ana. It's like, how do you decide which one plays Ana and the other one has to off roll and play like Lucio? Like not a lot of players are perfectly fine with that. So it has to be something you agree with to terms like ahead of time, right? But I don't like the idea of like shoehorning certain players into certain roles just because they need to. I don't think players excel and play the best version of themselves that way. So,
okay, what's next on our weekly roster update, Jonathan?
Next up, opener signs with the Washington Justice.
Yeah, the closer. Now they have the opener.
The opener and the closer.
The amount of comments
to make the joke.
I've seen.
God, they need to re-sign closer so they could have closer and opener back in the back line.
Yeah, what an excellent idea. So that brings their back line to, whoopsie daisy. That's Vigilante, Krillin, and opener. Right? Those are the three supports that the Washington Justice has announced this offseason. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Right. So they are going. And then Krillin is only temporary as well, presumably. Is that correct? Because Vigilante
he's probably signed for the year, right? But I don't think it's going to mean.
But is I'm trying to get all this straight.
Vigilante is going to be the supposed
underage,
replacement
right?
of Krillin once he's of age.
Yes. So Vigilante's underage. Yes. Oh, I didn't even realize Opener's also underage.
Well, until April, he'll be eligible.
Okay, so eligible. Opener will be eligible as well. So you're expecting both of their young players to be their backline starting up. It's a pretty interesting blend of veteran and rookie talent on this team. You've got mostly very veteran players, but then the backline is essentially all rookie. I mean, even Krillin is essentially inexperienced to the point of being almost a rookie, right? Because how many maps has he played in the Overwatch League? Like 3 or something? It's not like...
No, he's played more. Didn't he play for like London with Profit like a couple maps and then the next London?
It can't be a huge amount though.
Let me make sure.
He was in London for 2 years.
Didn't he play? Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, but the first year he played one map or something, didn't he?
Did he only play one? I thought he played like 5, and then he played a lot more.
I thought the first year we only saw him once.
He's played in 10 games. Somebody look
also,
it up.
I mean, he's been playing. Also, he has been playing with T1 as well.
Sure, but I mean rookie when it comes to the Overwatch League. I'm splitting the hairs here, but my point was that he's very inexperienced. Can someone look at like the over.gg page for Krillin and just see how many does he pop up on in the Overwatch League?
All right, fair enough. I'll do that.
Would you consider is he considered a rookie if he's played less than 10 games or some shit like that?
I would still think of him
there, right?
I would still think of him a bit. Like he isn't, obviously, he couldn't be eligible for Rookie of the Year, but I would still think of him as inexperienced, and I'd kind of lump him in with the others. Also, I feel like if you're a rookie player and you pop the fuck off, you're going to get more playtime than that. So it kind of just indicates
I think he played almost all of 2020.
Yeah, he has like 16 matches on his page.
Really?
Yeah, he played a decent amount of 2020.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He played all of
he subbed
2020
in-
with the
No,
London
not
Spitfire.
all, but like as in like he played like a decent amount of matches. He was getting subbed in and out for
Yeah,
like Riley and also for Fuse and stuff. So like they were swapping him out.
I didn't
Wow,
even
was
realize,
low
man.
at 10 games. Yeah, that's
I didn't even
crazy.
realize.
I thought I was gonna be very high.
I mean, that London 2020 year.
I should say specifically for Hailey. Him and Hailey were swapping out. Sanguinar and Muse were the main supports, but like they were, he was definitely getting subbed in and out. So he had some decent amount.
Now that you mention it, they did have an
time.
A and a B team. They literally split their roster down the middle, didn't they? And they were running an
It
A and
was
a
a
B team.
bonkers team.
That team was nonsense. But yeah, I'm completely wrong with Krillin then. I guess.
Oh, that's another main support that's on the market that they could be got. Sanguinar. I still think Sanguinar is pretty good. So
Yeah, Sanguinar, sure.
yeah.
That's another main support for all those teams not picking up main supports.
It would require me to have the will to play games professionally again, which I don't have the will. Something broke inside of me after I retired about to play games like in a very competitive manner.
It's so funny how like Johnny would love to compete again, get back out there, and you're just like, yeah, just fucking toss me in a Chuck E. Cheese costume and let me make fucking streams I can compare.
Yeah, if something broke in my will after that to play professionally anymore.
Okay, all right. So, what do you think about this backline? If we're assuming it's going to be Vigilante and Opener, what do you think about it as it compares to the rest of the league?
When are they eligible again? Like
Opener will be eligible. Opener will be eligible when the season starts. Vigilante will be a little bit longer. I think almost like what is it? A month or two or more. I can't remember exactly, but I think we're barreling towards another mediocre Washington Justice backline. I think we're barreling towards. I think Vigilante is pretty good, but still a rookie. So unproven. And then Krillin, I think Krillin's okay. There's definitely room for him to show him the stage because his mechanics are always relatively decent. And then Opener was like not even one of the. He was like in the upper half of I would say main supports because he was on Jin G, in Contenders Korea, but definitely not even top 3. So considering the talent that's on this roster, I feel like we're just going.
Do you need the support? Like it's almost the same type of thing as like I actually didn't even feel like the supports were that terrible last year, but
I don't think they were terrible. But I feel like if you would have had stronger supports, then I think that they had to play Tuba on Brig.
What'd you say?
They had to play Tuba on Brig, and also I feel like Bebe was fine, but like the issue is like when you're looking at a roster that you feel like is supposed to be top tier, you can't have supports being fine, right? You need them to be good.
They're outliers completely. I mean, Decay, Assassin, Happy, Mag, Fury, and then a Sideshow and Bren back there as the supports. Like,
okay, I mean, don't go that far. Don't go that far.
So I think that's the problem.
Though it's like
they might punch above their weight here, though. They might punch above their weight in the supports. Like you can never really judge them until you actually see them play in many ways. But based off their pedigree, Opener and Krillin are not going to be like amazing based off their current pedigree. Vigilante could be pretty solid. So,
but then if you have to go double flex support as well at some point during the season, it's then Krillin and Vigilante, right? That would be the
Happy play support.
So
yeah,
because Krillin's played both main support heroes and flex support in his time, so I guess it makes sense to have him on the team if you're trying to plan for double flex support and like try and keep as flexible as possible in the backline. I can't say this does anything for me though. It doesn't excite me thinking about the Justice next year. If they ship Decay away, I feel like it's really just watching Happy and seeing what he does.
I get the idea of like building for the future, especially like with Overwatch 2 coming out, and it's like, hey, we want to be dominant in Overwatch 2 like in a 3-year, span, and like we want to assemble talent, build out the team, etc. I get that, but there's also this idea in like the NBA that like some GMs and coaches, they're just like, yeah, we're just going to get future draft picks because we got a plan, guys. We got a plan, and they just keep building for like 3-4 years down the road, essentially to just like keep their job. And they're always just like, hey, we got a plan, guys. Got to follow the plan. Like we can't abandon ship now. And I don't want Washington Justice to become that team that just like delays every year. It's like we're building future guys. Like we're getting all this young talent. We got some underage players. It's fine. Building for the future. It's like, no, you got Decay. You got Mag, like pop off now. So I really hope they pop off and don't stall their success too much. And like, I don't want it to become like a trust the process kind of thing where it's like we're supposed to like wait for the Washington Justice to pop off in 2023, 2024. It's like, no, you got like 6 players on this roster already. Like, what are you
How many
waiting
trust
for?
the processes of like iterative roster building to actually succeed in Overwatch League, by the way? If we were to think about that, how many, and I'm going to tell you the only one that I think off the top of my head that's for sure the most salient example, Shock. With
Also, Boston year 1. I think you have to give credit to Boston year 1 because they did.
But it wasn't an iterative process though, because I'm talking about like a multi-year roster.
A multi-year.
Oh, like something built for the future.
Like something built for the future. There's only really been, as far as I can tell, there's only been one, right? And that's been the Shock.
Atlanta Reign? I don't know.
But it, maybe Atlanta Reign actually, because they did bring in Hawk and Gator and they committed to them and they paid off this year. So maybe Reign.
Yeah, but did they intend for it to pay off year 2 or did they intend for it to pay off year 1? I think their design was for it to work the first year that they signed them, not the second. The thing is, there's just no reason to build for the future in esports because people are good as soon as they come out of contenders. There's no reason to build for the future when 18-year-olds are better than everybody else. There's just no reason. So, I mean, like, the rookies are often the best players in the entire league. So why would you ever build for the future? Build backwards. Build for the past.
Build for the past, he says. Though also, I guess Shock was like an interesting situation because they had multiple underage players, which is normally not the case. So, yeah.
And, I mean, we don't have anybody else in that kind of position, do we? I mean...
No, not currently.
No.
Dallas Fuel built for the future by tanking their first 2 years so they could get Russian Sparkle first pick in the draft.
So smart.
Yeah,
very smart. Fucking Overwatch League draft.
Shanghai Dragons also did the same plan. Have we got any more news on the weekly roster update?
No, those are the 3 signings.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting. Well, we mentioned some of these people earlier on, but there are a lot of people still LFT. Moth being a notable example that Connor was talking about earlier on. And Jonathan has titled this one, "The LFT Circus Continues," because there's a lot of good talent still out there. It's just in roles that people aren't particularly looking for at the moment.
Yeah, I wrote this lower third down, and I was like, yeah, let's talk about all the people still LFT. And then I'm like, I have no good way of composing all the players who are still looking for a team. But I just saw a bunch of posts like Xe is still looking for a team. I think Bebe is still looking for a team. And there are DM, Jerry. I think there are a bunch of these players that are still.
Yeah, also DM technically retired and came back. So he wasn't like actively in the pool before this. True. He just came back after not playing. But I just saw a bunch of these posts that we're getting to the point where like trials are done for like most Overwatch League teams. For example, like Paris, they're probably done, and like all these teams. And now you're seeing some of these players be like, oh, I don't have a team yet. And I still need to find a team. And we're getting all the LFT posts now again in mid-November because some of these players are starting to panic again. So Animo is still pursuing the Overwatch League. There were a bunch of these like old veterans that are still waiting to be picked up. So
well, I've got a game for you then. Here's a game for the 3 of you.
Oh, the game.
Which is, we played a game last week. Matt wasn't here, but I stole the idea from Matt. It was Who Says No. Matt asks me this question all the time, by the way. That's where that one came from. Matt, whenever we're talking about Overwatch, you're like proposing weird trades and just telling me, just who says no, Josh? Who says no?
Who says no?
All right. This guy's senile already.
This guy is fucking off the goof.
He's gone. He's off the goof. He's past the goofy movie.
Are we still recording?
Yeah, shut up. DM. Which team would benefit the most from DM? And which team do you think DM would benefit the most from? If you could pick the perfect team that DM goes to, who is it?
Houston.
Vancouver Titans.
I was going to say Houston.
All right, well, explain your Vancouver Titans pick first, Jonathan, because you're not on the Houston Outlaws train.
They're one of the worst teams in the league, and they benefit from a good player.
Okay, well, that's just... Well, then you're going to say everyone good should just go to the Vancouver Titans.
Well, I mean, honestly,
something that makes sense.
That was the game. You set the rules. I played the fucking game.
It was shit rules then, man. It was shit rules. I mean, something that makes sense.
Hitscan player, though, right? Don't they need a hitscan player?
I don't think they have any players.
I think they have a Spire and Shockwave, right?
I don't know if that's been. That's rumors. It's
rumored
still
to be joining. Yeah, but Shockwave and Aspire, I mean, could certainly fulfill those hits.
Theoretically, if they do get those 2 players, they don't need DM.
I take both of those over DM.
What
No,
about
you would
Toronto?
not.
Yes, I would.
I mean,
No,
yes, I would.
No,
Yes, I would. I'd take Aspiring Shockwave over
what
DM.
about Toronto?
Stop coping. Okay,
I
you're
am.
stuck in
I am
2019.
hard
You're
coping.
in
Oh, yeah, Toronto as
2019.
well.
They just won
what about
stage
Toronto?
3 over the San Francisco Shock. DM is one of the best Widowmakers in the entire league. Things Farah is the best.
Yep.
Check out Dragons.
I really am just building my teams for the past.
But DM still was. But to be fair, DM was always still good. It's just it didn't really feel like he fit.
He was not good at the start of last season.
I feel like he was still. I feel like his mechanics were still
He
relatively decent.
He was still
I feel
popping
like
the
his
fuck
mechanics.
off.
I think his mechanics. I don't know
No.
if he was popping off, but his mechanics were good. It's clear that he didn't fit in the system, and the system was not built around him.
Do you mean the
were two
beginning of
things.
2021, Jonathan, when they ran him a little bit at the beginning? I went back and I
watched
watched
those
him in the
ones.
replay viewer. He was hitting everything. He was just out of position and getting owned.
Toronto. Put him on Toronto.
Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. But he was mechanically still really good.
Toronto would work.
Their
Put him
worst
on-
run of games were with DM.
Toronto would work.
Toronto would be pretty good, except, well, no, because that's the same
Hisu.
shit as Hisu.
Well-
he doesn't, I mean, DM
No, it's
could
not the
play
same.
Tracer.
It's not the same role. Hisu doesn't necessarily play like.
Yeah, he's more.
every,
Yeah.
I don't think Hisu doesn't really play Widow, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
does
he does. Hisu plays
Oh
Widow,
no, he
yeah.
does play Widow. Yeah, he
Yeah.
does play a lot of hit scan. Yeah, that's true. Never mind.
He's just like Smurfs on a worse team. He's like Smurfs on a worse team to enable his hero pool, whereas he wouldn't be allowed to play that shit on like better teams.
It
So,
would
yeah,
be
actually,
would be good
I'm
for
sticking with
Houston,
Houston.
though.
I'm
I mean,
sticking with
Houston would
Houston.
have then Dante, Pelican, and DM. That would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to ask you the same question for XE, but XE's essentially got the same hero pool, just minus the Tracer, I guess, for DM. But more recent player experience and like more of a tendency towards Cassidy. Bloody, I have to scrape my brain for that one, don't I?
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard.
I mean, is XE just the same answer that it would be Houston again, or is there somewhere else that you
Probably.
could see XE going?
I mean, what are the current? So Shanghai's built.
Yeah,
Spark has Shy, and then Guangzhou. Do they still? hold on
Guangzhou
to
have got
Choice One?
Eileen, who does some of the
Eileen?
long range hit scan. Choice One played Tracer for them. They've got Develop as well. Develop was playing a
Yeah.
bunch of hit scan stuff, or well, in theory, could have had he even been played. Hydron would play it for Florida. I'm just scrolling through at the moment.
I'm also looking. Well, I guess it wouldn't. There's no. What am I even looking at? Like, there's no reason to look at Chengdu.
What about
but
what
they
about
are-
Boston? I mean, Boston have got Valentine and Striker. Would there be any added benefit from having some
Yeah.
long range hit scan specialists there to allow Striker to
I think
focus a
having-
bit more on Tracer
Where
stuff?
are New York?
New York have Flora, don't they? Who's pretty
Yeah, they still
damn
have
good at
Flora.
that.
Yeah,
but,
New York still Flora. I would
did
say
Flora play like Widow and Hangzhou and stuff? I can't remember. I remember he played a. Did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember Guang
because it
Hu
was
came in to
Feather
play
that played. Feather played the majority of the Tracer and stuff. So
Flora played quite a bit of.
or I should say not the majority, but he did play
yeah,
some
no,
part of the
Flora.
Tracer, and he
Yeah,
was there.
Flora had his most pop-off moments playing Cassidy as well.
Yeah, so I think Flora was is much more of a hit scan oriented player. So I'm almost certain that it would not necessarily work with Flora. I feel like Boston's not a bad shout because Striker can play hit scan, but you don't necessarily want him as a dedicated hit scan player. You know,
Bro, that Striker XC duo. Jesus Christ.
That'd be pretty cool, right? I think.
But
that'd
you
be pretty
really
sick.
want your hit scan player to be able to play Tracer, though, is the thing. That's why DM to me is more valuable in a lot of ways because it's like going to Overwatch 2, I really don't want everyone to be stuck in a situation where like I don't have. You always want to be able to play projectile DPS, and you want to be able to play Tracer without having to swap off a hit scan necessarily, you know, or without having to sacrifice a projectile DPS, I should say.
Sure. Beggars can't be choosers, though, in some of these instances. You know, you've only got
That's
to
true.
work with what you got available. What about Bebe? He's the only flex support that we've talked about so far as being LFT. I'm sure there's others that we've forgotten about, by the way. And if there's more people, put them in the comments, and we'll do this again next week as well, where I ask them where they should go. But you got Bebe. He was a decent flex support. He wasn't amazing, didn't light the world on fire, but he was decent. Does he have a home? I mean, we were just talking about a team that doesn't have any flex support players.
He could go
Maybe
back to
Toronto?
the Spark. We go back to the Spark. He could go to the Charge. I mean, I don't.
Sure.
I don't know. I feel like
Vancouver
like I said,
only
a lot
have
of the
one flex support. I mean, maybe if they
Yeah.
want to go double, they'd go Aztac and Bebe.
The Valiant?
Same with
The Valiant.
Same with
Don't
Toronto.
curse anyone
like
to the
Twilight,
Valiant, Matt.
Twilight Bebe on Toronto if you want to play double flex support. You know?
I almost was going to
Yeah.
suggest as a backup flex support for Dallas.
For Dallas, who do Dallas currently have? Let me have a look.
Dallas has
They still have Fielder and
Fielder and
Fielder
like,
and Gio?
his name
what's his name?
Chio.
Chio. Yeah.
George.
No, but that's but Chio's a main support though.
Yeah, he is
but
main
so-
support.
he's
That's what
saying
I'm
as a
He
double
could be-
flex.
Oh, double
he could
flex.
be
Yeah.
like the alternative flex support where he doesn't
Maybe.
have to play all the time.
For Dallas, though, I would want someone who's cracked at Zen, I feel. Because Fielder is so fucking good at Moira and at Ana. Like, his Ana's unreal. His Zen looked pretty decent, and his BAP, I can't even remember really watching that
Maybe.
much.
I still feel like
Yeah,
I feel
put
like
him on,
his
what about
Zen is
Florida?
good.
Put him on Florida.
There's no Sir Majed plays all the flex supports, so
Yeah.
unless they
played
want
a
to have a,
shit
I
ton
mean,
of
if they
Zen,
want,
right?
if they want to double, if they do want a double flex support, then it is a potential
Yeah.
option. Yeah,
Bebe could slot in for Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, it
He's-
wouldn't be
he's good.
crazy.
I think it's like when you think about what's left, you're just gonna have to. We're gonna have to commit to a team because there's not all the top tier. Because also, isn't Gangnam Jin still a free agent?
Bro.
Holy shit,
Believe
is he?
so, right?
He is,
Yeah.
yeah.
He hasn't
That's
been confirmed signed
absurd.
anywhere. So there's also Gangnam Jin.
Dude,
So like,
Wait, no,
if
but
I would take Gangnam Jin over.
But Gangnam Jin, no.
Still.
Gangnam Jin and Myeonbong are both rumored to be going to New York together as a backline.
Yeah, that's
That's
over,
the-
right.
That'd
But
be
it's
fucking
yeah.
cool though.
That
Which
would be-
that's a
yeah.
great
Put
backline.
Exy
I
on
think
that
that's-
team too. Fucking pop off.
I mean, you
don't
could
need
have
Exy on
Exy
that
on that
team,
team. You could.
We
okay.
don't have to cross that bridge yet. It's a bit too soon, but Philly also needs.
Sure. I mean,
support as
Philadelphia
well.
have definitely got.
Gangnam Jin on Philly, like
Yeah.
I think that could be.
Sure. Yeah.
I think
badass,
for Bebe, I think any team that currently does not have a flex support or needs a backup flex support is a good option. Like pretty much all of them are good options simply because like if you want to have him, he's pretty solid. I think he's solid across the board, you know? Like
Yeah,
there's
he's-
you're not going to get any notable weaknesses, but you're also not going to get anything that's like terrifically strong.
Who with
currently, I
Gangnam
think.
Jin?
No, with Bebe.
Oh, sorry, with
who we
Bebe.
were
Right.
talking-
I was
yeah.
going to say Gangnam Jin. I
Yeah.
would have much.
No,
stronger
Gangnam Jin. No,
plays.
Gangnam Jin. Yeah, would pop off. Like that's fine. But like for Bebe
Yeah,
specifically,
Bebe is
I think
pretty
anyone-
well rounded, but not amazing. Yeah.
Also,
Anyone that
we
doesn't
talked
have
about this. Like, I think Bebe was a bit of a victim of the Washington Justice main support environment too. Like, I'm sorry, but like some of those matches, Tuba on Brig was fucking wank. Like, he really was. Like, he was pure garbage. Like, he didn't even belong in contenders on Brig. And like, I think that Bebe got first picked like instantly a lot of the time because of that stuff. So
It's pretty mean.
I think Bebe is a good player, and I think he just like looked poor in a Washington Justice backline that wasn't figured out.
Yeah,
I mean,
Johnny hitting.
Bebe didn't look great on the spot.
Gotta generate the hype, Matt. Okay, gotta produce the headlines.
Like what?
I think
Somebody-
Bebe was also still fine on. I think the last time Bebe looked like good though was like 2019 Spark, 2020
Yeah.
and 2021 Spark. 2020 Spark. He looked solid, and in 2021 Justice he looked fine. You know, like I really don't feel like he's ever seemed like a top tier flex support. He's always just seemed pretty good to fine.
What about
You
what
know?
about then the main support players? So you're saying Moth is still looking for offers. That's the word on
Yeah.
the street. The streets be
Yeah.
speaking. And then also you've got Animo and Jexa as well. The order in people's heads is probably like Moth, one of the greatest main supports of all time. Then Jexa played for the Dallas Fuel last year, was still pretty damn good. And then you've got Animo as well, who's been, playing with some fantastic teams in the past, but has just been kind of slowly slipping down the rankings in terms of the teams that he's been playing on and the impact he's been able to get. But those are still three really good main support options if teams were looking for them. Are they just destined to get picked up somewhere if people are looking?
I think Moth is. I think it's kind of hard to. I think what seems like the issue for Moth is that I bet he commands a lot. He wants to command a lot of salary when his current stock is not high enough, is my guess. That's my current guess for Moth. Because otherwise he would be picked up in a heartbeat, but I bet it's like a cost issue. Is my guess is that he's probably asking for a lot based off his previous performances and like being on Glads when he reportedly left Shock for the bag, right? So like, but his current stock's not that high, which is just unfortunate because he literally just got benched by the best Brigida and like potentially the best Brigida in the league. So it's like, I think you would be silly not to get Moth unless he's like a break the bank type of situation.
And especially if it's a break the bank for someone you fear might be on the bench most of the year, as he was this year for the Gladiators.
Yeah.
Right, where you don't know if you'd even play him.
Yeah. Motho was always capable of being able to play things outside of main support. I'm not saying he was amazing on them, but he was always capable of expanding his hero pool because he isn't mechanically focused. I mean, he does make big plays when he's playing Lucio in particular, but he's not a mechanical mastermind. He's like really good at thinking about things and putting himself in the right positions to get impact. So I feel like he's the perfect main support that can also play some flex as you head into Overwatch 2.
Yeah, I agree. I think Moth. I think it'd be silly not to get Moth if you want to have some flexibility in your backline. But obviously, I'm assuming it's a budget issue. So my guess. And like if you're going to build a top tier team, you're either like getting a Korean backline or you're getting someone that's more consistently proven with playtime currently, which would be like Astro, so who's under contract.
Right. Gotta go and get the Chinese bag. Just wait for Guangzhou or Hangzhou to start moving their abacuses around and seeing if they want to ship you out to play over there. Okay,
Moth would look good in the Guangzhou jersey.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. I don't know why I giggled at that. It's just the way that you said that. Let's move on to the Overwatch League crossword. We have all been just avoiding this content like the plague on our... I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I have. I've been seeing it pop up on Twitter and people asking questions on like in WhatsApp groups and stuff, and I've just been like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Because we said we were going to do it on the show today. So Overwatch League released this crossword. Matt's probably cheated so that he can look smart, and the rest of us haven't seen any. So
I can't even tell. I have to go find the original image because the image that I see from the program feed is too blurry for me. So I'm gonna go find the original Overwatch crossword.
Okay, Kurt might be able to put it in the chat as well for you guys. So anyway, I can read out the what's it called? The hint? Is it called a hint? Probably not on a crossword. The crossword clue, that's what they're called. They're called clues.
I mean, a clue and a hint are the same thing.
They're pretty similar. Now, I will say, normally, it tells you how many letters it is or whether it's multiple words. But this crossword doesn't say any of that. It just makes you go and look at how many letters it is on the bloody thing itself. Normally, it would say, like, crosswords are normally formulated, 1 down, former tree puncher extraordinaire, and then in brackets it says 5, or like 5,2 or something. But this doesn't even have that. So I don't know how many letters we're even looking for.
I mean, I already know 1 down.
Well, okay, what is 1 down? Former tree puncher extraordinaire.
It's Dante. He was a pro Minecraft player.
Oh, tree punching. I wouldn't have got that. Wouldn't have got it.
That's a good
one. All right.
Yeah, I didn't
so we're sort of pressuring Kurt here because we're testing out new technology.
Oh,
hey, look at him go! Hey,
good.
Kurt is incredible.
Wait, Kurt, do you write your N's backwards? You start at the top right.
I knew he would comment on that.
Oh,
You do it both ways.
He's multi-talented.
He's doing it sideways.
Do it again. Yo!
Oh my god. Jesus
Oh my god, he's popping off.
All right, well, Dante is the first one.
Okay.
We know 2 down.
Wait, what?
Yes.
I haven't even read them. I haven't read them out to the people, man.
Read it.
Okay, well, I can't see them while Kurt's writing the answer. Give it a sec. Give it a sec.
On your phone.
2 down. The first MVP, which is Jonak, right?
Jonak.
Yeah.
Okay.
J. Jonak.
It's 2 J's. J. Jonak, as people call him in my ranked games. Wow,
So
you popped off. You must be J. Jonak. Who? Who?
Oh, that was a smooth end. So I think Kurt is doing this on like a pad. So we gotta bear with him as he scrolls to the other side of the screen. I love this.
Bad
this is amazing.
gift from Reinforce.
Now, do
what
you
is
remember,
a bad gift?
I remember this one. Matt, do you remember what this one was? A bad gift given on the desk.
Oh god,
It's not me, by the way. It was Zoe.
That Costa opened up and it fucking flew.
Yep.
Strostrumming?
Strostrumming.
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 How do you spell that?
Yeah, you're gonna have to help me with that one.
S.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom while he spells it. I'll be back by the time he's done.
So this was sorry, you go on. SUR.
SUR. ST. R. and then it's like an umlaut O. So like 2 dots and an O.
Doesn't connect to anything else though, so it doesn't matter.
There you go. Oh my
It just
god,
looks
it
like
looks
a
like
screaming face.
I knew it would say that. God damn it. Double M. ING.
You just hear Kurt laughing at the face. Looks like when he's like, I'm firing my laser.
Wait, you did your G's backwards as well.
What is that?
Wow,
Okay.
I've never seen anyone do a G like that. That's yeah. I normally see people just do it like that. Okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna analyze Kurt's handwriting the entire time. If Kurt ever murders someone and writes a murder letter, I'll have him down.
Yeah,
I
you're
will
gonna be
have
the
him down.
premier expert on Kurt's handwriting.
Yeah.
How
right.
will you though? Will you be able to tell where they started the letter?
Josh thinks I'm gonna kill someone for some reason. This is the second time in like a week he's brought it up. What the hell is wrong with you?
I don't know. I've got death on the mind. Okay, number 4.
Oh
A feline that steals the show.
This is easy.
Nori. Gotta be Nori, right?
Yeah.
Can it just be cats? Or I guess it's singular.
No, it's
Singular
just a
form.
single cat, so it's got to be Nori.
That's right, cats.
Honestly,
For
I think
what?
we're gonna pop off on this crossword because we know useless trivia.
I think.
Yeah, it's
I
an
think
I.
we'll get all of them correct. It would be pretty bad if the 4 of us couldn't get them correct, because that only means like only 1 out of the 4 people has to know stuff. Everyone's favorite meta. This has got to be goats, right?
Goats,
It's
yeah,
just
it's gotta be
Beyblade.
goats.
they're trolling.
Got to be Ironclad Bastion.
Is there even any other meta that would fit in 5 letters? What would even be another meta?
Moats.
Pirate
or-
ship.
Moats.
Yeah,
Oh my
moats,
god,
like-
you just replaced the letter.
What is moats?
I mean, well, it's floats.
Water
We'll say, but
goats.
It's
Monkey
essentially
goats.
moats and floats is like monkey goats. So like that was like dive goats when you just like had the dive with the
Who
Moira
the
and it
fuck
was just
called
the
it
same.
moats?
I
never
called
heard-
it. What the hell did I call it? I think I called it like. The fuck did I call it? I can't.
All
even
right, so
remember.
we know.
Widow
Hold on,
meta.
we know 10 across.
Oh, mate,
Wait,
you're
can you
skipping
just do
ahead.
it in order?
You're skipping ahead.
Let's do it in
No,
order.
Do
We're doing
it in order.
You do it like you see the
No,
words. and you
we're
do
doing
it.
We're doing 8.
We're doing all of the downs first.
All the
down.
downs. 8 down.
8 down.
Gladiator's greatest play. That's the Great Bamboozle.
Great bamboozle, but how? I mean, which word?
It's probably just bamboozle. Looking at the size of it, it's probably just bamboozle. I think.
To the right.
Yeah. What BAMBOOZLE? Yeah, it's bamboozle.
All right, nice. Who coined that, by the way? Was that them?
No, wasn't it coined on Cast?
Wasn't it Mitch said it?
Yeah.
I don't. What did he?
You would know, Matt, because you were casting with him.
Oh, Matt doesn't listen to anything he says. You can tell
Oh,
when he
okay.
gets to the
That's
analysis
true.
portion.
Yeah.
If the shoe is that what it says?
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
the
just
shoe.
so it's
It
just
fits.
fits.
Oh,
It fits.
fits. Like, yeah.
The shoe fits.
That's a
This
weak.
must be really like entertaining content because everyone who's watched this show has already done it.
Well, yeah.
No, not
hopefully, this segment is for people who like Overwatch but aren't that into Overwatch.
This is for people. I feel like also a lot of people want to watch it to see if we're dumb, you know? Like it's kind of a test to see if we
Oh.
pass. Like, what's that one test you do to see
I'm
if you're
sure
not an AI?
Sideshow's gonna fuck up the crossword.
Yeah, wait there, because I have fucked up this next one. An almost unobtainable snack. An almost unobtainable snack. Do we have any clues so far? Oh, it's long as well. 11 down.
Where's this?
11
11
down. Almost unobtainable. So it's like,
Cheese It Grooves? I don't know.
but why would that be unobtainable?
I don't know.
I mean, Cheese It Grooves,
I-
they spammed the shit out of it in 2020, so there's no way that's unobtainable. We had more Cheese It Grooves. Oh, breadsticks. Bloody breadsticks.
Oh.
You're right.
Snack? Who snacks on breadsticks? You eat them.
It's an appetizer, really,
snack.
isn't it? But
Is
I mean,
it?
you eat snacks as well, Jonathan.
Yeah, no, but you snack on snacks.
But anything could be a snack. A
No.
breadstick could be a snack if you just have in your cabinet. It's like, I want a
If
snack.
I was like,
so
oh,
I have
I'm
a breadstick.
snacking on some grilled ribeye. It's like, no.
Yeah, you
eat
could.
it.
You could.
You could
No.
if it was small.
Like if you just wanted like little bits of it, you know?
Oh my god.
12. A bloodthirsty support and also a legendary Pokemon. I don't
Okay.
think of
Oh,
this player as particularly bloodthirsty, but it could be this player. Oh, I guess he is, actually. I think
don't
I've got
remember
it.
Pokemon names.
I think I've got it. I'm waiting to see if the others have got it.
Is Eviltoll's one named after a Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be Yveltal, right?
I think it's Yveltal.
It's a bloodthirsty mercy.
A Y. YVELTAL. Yeah, I was thinking he's not that bloodthirsty, but actually he does get a lot of mercy pistol kills.
Got a lot of kills. Yeah.
All right, 13 down.
Architect's favorite hiding spot. Oh, is this? Why can't I tell? Is it?
Wait, I don't know this one. I can't even think what this. Oh,
are they
I know
referring
what
to
it
the
is.
chandelier in Eichenwald?
Yeah, but it's not a hiding spot, man. That's not a hiding spot. He just jumped up there. I think that's what it'll be, though.
Does that fit? The chandelier fit?
Probably.
Yeah,
The
it does.
chandelier fits.
CHAND.
DEELEER.
You just said
What happened?
so many E's.
I said DELIER.
It's an IE at the end.
IER. Yeah. Yeah, it fits. Okay. Nice. Nice.
All right, we got it. Chandelier.
Nailed it.
Is that really a hiding spot? You just kind of jumped up there.
Yeah,
while
he
was
kind of
playing
jumped up
wrestling.
there for the play,
Not-
but you know.
Especially if you're a sentry turret.
Oh, it's Flora. It's Flora.
Oh, not
Oh,
fauna. 14 down. Flora.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
Flora.
Okay.
Matt
We
doesn't
would
know what
know
that
from
is.
our
He's looking
Valheim
very
adventures.
inquisitively.
Matt,
He's looking very inquisitively.
what are flora and fauna? Can you give me the definitions?
Not a fucking clue.
You don't know? What word is flora a bit like?
Did you not take like
Like a
high school
flower?
biology,
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, he
What'd you say,
knows.
Vaz?
The thing is, he does know this. He has been taught this at some point, and it's gone in his head. He just doesn't have the mental energy to extract it from his brain. Yeah, it
So-
means like flowers. It means like living
Yeah.
plants and shit in an
There's
area.
no way you have that much information that you have to work hard to get it out. There's
So
just
then
no
what's
way.
fauna, Matt? What's
what's
fauna? What's a fawn, motherfucker? He's
Yeah, he's
googling,
Googling it.
He's
Oh my
googling it.
god. This guy is
There's just no
pathetic.
way.
It's yeah, it's like animals and shit.
Yep. Yeah. Well
it is.
done.
Okay.
Yeah. Flora's the plants. Fauna are the animals. What was the next one?
21 down.
Last second throw.
C9?
That'd be very
Well,
short.
where is
wouldn't it?
21? I'm looking for it.
21.
21. It's like in the middle right. Yeah, there it
Last
is.
second throw.
Oh, that's
Um,
right.
Yeah, there is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've got it. I think I know what it
Well,
is.
C9 doesn't fit, nor does Cloud9, so neither one of those fits.
Yeah.
I think it's a choke,
Choke? Oh, okay.
Oh.
but I
A
could
choke
be wrong.
fit.
I could be wrong.
It-
That's the first one I've been unsure of, but I think it's a choke. Because that
Well, we
isn't
use
really.
choke a lot in.
I mean, a last
Overwatch.
second throw would be a choke, but it's not the only definition of a choke. So
Yeah, but what other words would even? I don't know what other words that would fit this because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 letters.
I don't know.
I think it has to be choke because C9 doesn't fit. Cloud9 doesn't fit.
Yeah.
I can't think. I mean, you can't just repeat the word throw. Like you couldn't just throw the word throw in there again.
That would
Like,
be
doesn't
very
make-
funny.
I actually don't think it works with 24 across. So
Oh.
Oh,
That's
you want
an
to do
issue.
some? You want to do?
Okay, well let's write choke in and then let's do 24. Oh, well, 24 across. The all-knowing masterminds behind the league.
I think that's script writers.
Oh, I think it might be Shadow Council.
No.
That is a long
When have we
word.
ever said Shadow Council in relation to this? Script writers, we say all the time. The script writers. It's script writers.
Is it?
SCRIPTSRIWRITE. It's script writers.
Okay,
Oh.
okay.
It's got to be script writers because we say
Shadow
script writers.
Council.
When have we ever said the Shadow Council?
They specifically
Council. They did do a
referenced the
Shadow
Shadow
Council
Council in their most recent piece of content.
Yeah, but
But-
script writers what we used all season.
Yeah, I also Shadow Council doesn't fit, does it? Shadow Council. Actually, it does. Actually, Shadow Council does fit. But it
Okay, well, it
also
doesn't work with
neither of them
choke.
work with choke. So
Yeah.
okay, what would 21 down be then? A last minute or last second? Last second throw, 21 down. And it's 5 letters. Middle letter is
Feed.
I.
I saw
Could
the
be.
eye and I was like, is this a reference to like a similar cast? Are we doing like the wick is burning? But like, I don't think that's.
That
I don't think
doesn't.
that's it.
Yeah,
no, it doesn't
how
fit.
would that fit? Unless it was
No, it
double
doesn't
I.
fit.
W-double-I. Wick
What the
is
fuck
burning.
is this? The
Last-
wick. I don't
Last
know.
second throw. Yeah, let's add another clue. Let's do 26 across as well. I can't believe this one
Yeah.
stumped us.
Yeah, that's actually stumped the shit out of me.
Delivers swift justice. 5 letters. Probably decay,
Probably.
Yeah.
but it could be. I mean, I guess it
Something
could
with
be
Farah?
happy. Yeah, oh yeah, it could be
No.
Farah.
Happy. delivers
Farah
the-
wouldn't fit though. Isn't Farah P-H-A-R-A-H?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
No,
like
it's got to be
7.
decay because
Yeah, I think so.
26 down is the longest tenured active Dallas Fuel player, which would be Doha. So that's got to.
Yeah, it has to be
yeah.
decay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Nice,
some
nice.
crossword game theory.
Okay, so
my
21
goodness.
down.
It ends
Last
in an I.
second
or an E.
throw. It's I something E. So it's got to be a consonant that produces like an I sound to the I, right? It's got to be I'm, I'b, I'll.
You could throw a lamp, but I don't know. Emo lamp like doesn't fit there.
Last second throw. Oh my god, we are so dumb.
What?
Throwing
The
a
fuck?
Sigma rock now doesn't.
Well, you
make
see the
sense
E,
either.
and it's like there's choke could theoretically work, but the thing is that like there's no.
I'm
K.
wondering, yeah. Well, I'm wondering if it's not scriptwriters,
Is
but
it
if
like
it isn't,
a player name?
last
No.
second. What you think it's someone immortalized as a thrower in the
But the only
Overwatch
person
League
that could be is
crossword?
like, but I mean, the one of those infamous ones would be like late young, you know, for Overwatch League, and like that doesn't fit. You know?
Late Young.
or not Young Jin,
Oh,
Young Jin, I
Young
thought.
Jin,
Young
right?
Jin,
Yeah.
Young Jin, not late Young Jin. So like, but like, there's also other players, right? But that's the first one that comes to
Last-second
mind.
Throw.
So
Maybe we're thinking about throw too casually. Maybe they mean a literal throw.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is like, I mean, that's like a Hail Mary or something, but like I don't know, like that wouldn't. A
Is there a
pass.
player name that has
toss?
I and E in it?
Probably. Last second throw.
Let's just
Wow.
let's we need to complete the rest of the crossword.
Yeah, let's
complete the rest
get
of the
back to
crossword.
that one. Wow, that rolled us.
Jesus.
23
Let's-
down. The
Okay.
site of the 2021 Overwatch League playoffs.
Hawaii, I guess.
Hawaii has got to be right.
It was technically supposed to be Dallas as well,
Or just
but like right, isn't it going to be Hawaii?
Online, does that fit?
See if Hawaii, and if not Hawaii, then online maybe. Let's see.
The virtual servers of the internet.
Oh, it doesn't fit.
Okay, what about where in Hawaii were we? Or were you?
Honolulu?
Wasn't it Honolulu?
Bro, that's way too long.
No, it's one letter too long.
What about University of Manoa? Does Manoa fit?
fuck. But Manoa's only like 5 letters, right?
Yeah. The site of it. The site of the Overwatch League 2021 Grand Finals. No, playoffs is what it's. Oh, playoffs.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe it was supposed to be Dallas originally, right? But that stopped.
Oh yeah, the playoffs actually weren't at Hawaii,
The playoffs were supposed to be in Dallas, but they didn't end up going that way.
but the playoffs themselves weren't actually in Hawaii, right? It was.
Yeah.
No, they were. They were. The whole playoffs were in
No, they
Hawaii.
moved the whole thing. They
Dude,
moved
my
everything to
brain has
Hawaii.
melted during the off season. I can't remember shit that
Alright.
happened a month ago.
I was gonna say like Arlington because that's where the esports, but no, that doesn't work.
long.
So
Are we just misspelling Hawaii? The site of the Overwatch League
No.
2021 playoffs.
It's 6 letters.
yeah, it's HAWAII.
The site. What if they mean website?
It could be the hotel we were staying at.
Bro, what? They're just gonna what? Who the hell could complete the crossword if you required the
Yeah, 'cause they don't know
hotel?
where you
No,
stay.
we said it. It was in the opening. It was in the intro all the time.
Really?
How many letters off was
Oh, it's
Hawaii?
Waikiki. It's
One
Waikiki. Waikiki Beach.
How many letters off was Hawaii from this one?
One letter.
What if
Actually,
it's the
I think-
U of Hawaii and it's just U Hawaii,
That's-
like
no,
University
that's- no.
Hawaii?
Dude, I think
No,
Jonathan's
because it
got it,
wasn't
hasn't
that.
he? It's Wakiki.
Yeah, try Wakiki.
But what is 22 across then?
I've no idea.
Custer's
Ewok.
compatriot.
Jonathan,
Why
how do you
would
spell
work?
how do you spell Wikiki, Jonathan?
I have it. I have it.
AIKIKI.
Okay, that's gotta be it, right? That's gotta be it. So
Yeah,
what the hell
that
is
fits.
22 across? What's the thing?
Custer's compatriot.
Custer's compatriot, and it's 4 letters, and it looks like it's Ewok.
Well,
Ewok.
I mean, are Ewoks Australian?
I don't think so.
No way. It's
I don't think they are.
Ewoks Australian.
I think they come from the.
Do you
I think they
just
come from
realize what you
Endor.
just said?
Bro, what the hell else? What
An
other
Ewok
Australian
is
animals?
the fucking fictional bear in Star Wars.
Wait, also, the
not an
25 across
animal.
begins with S. We've deleted an S somehow there. It's breadsticks.
Oh, what if it's an Australian? What if it's like punk or something?
Which wouldn't make sense with the U of H.
No, that
Hawaii going down. If it was U Hawaii going
It can't
down,
be U Hawaii. U
it's the
Hawaii is not a
University
word.
of Hawaii. It's the University of Hawaii.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid, though.
That's really stupid, though,
simply
yeah.
Spaces.
So we think
But-
it's punk with U Hawaii.
But the thing is, that wouldn't make it because that's the only other Australian, right? It's the only other Australian in the league. And there's a K in this clearly. But the problem here is
what about UO Manoa, like University of Manoa? That makes more sense. That makes more sense than U Hawaii.
because also U Hawaii is not the college that we were.
No,
that
the
you guys
college
were
is
at.
called University of Manoa at Hawaii.
U Manoa makes the most sense actually, because then you
But
can
it's
do
not
punk.
U Manoa. It would be UO, like
UO
University of. I think that's very badly done. If that is the answer,
I'm
though.
on Josh's side here because it's the only way that I can make sense. Because I don't know what else fucking unless we're doing Ewok, I don't know what else Custer's compatriot could be.
Dude,
So-
I think we should leave it as Ewok and Wikiki. I think that's good. What are we thinking then? You
Are
Manoa?
Ewoks Australian? I'm not gonna.
I don't think they are. No, I
No,
don't think
they're
they
not.
You could put punk across if it's the U.
It's gotta
Yeah,
be. It's
It's
gotta
be punk because there's no other Australian players in the league. I don't
Adam?
think of unless it's like one of yeah, but this was made before that
What are his cats
Adam
called?
was signed. You know? Yeah. What are his cats?
Salem
called?
and something.
Bo and what? Sorry, Kurt.
Bo and Arya.
Oh.
And
Arya.
That's
Arya,
not gonna be
yeah,
there.
Arya.
That's not. I'm saying I think it's got to be punk.
Okay,
I think
so
it's
let's
gotta be punk.
lock
It's got to be
punk in.
UO Manoa.
Let's lock punk in, and then. No, sorry, punk, not runk.
Runk. Get Runkin, the orc.
Please don't say that.
Okay,
There we go.
and then 23 down. How do you spell Manoa? Is it M-A-N-O-A?
No. It's M-I-N-O-A.
Oh,
M-I-N-O-A.
Minoa.
Manoa.
I think it's got to be U-O Manoa.
I'm in agreement because that was the name of the college. It makes punk work.
U Manoa.
It's got to be
UO Manoa.
U-O, though. It needs an extra O.
Yeah.
I think it's I rather than A.
Yeah, it's I-N-O-A.
That's not good. I'm
No,
putting in an
that's-
official complaint if that's correct.
That's not good.
If we're correct, that's bad. But all right, let's move on. What's the next down that we have to do? Listen, chat. Oh, is that Super's catchphrase? Yeah. 24 down. Yep, that makes sense.
Yep. Super.
Oh, what the hell is 25 across then? S and ends in a U, and it's only 3 letters.
Blanking Baptiste shoe.
Shoo.
Shoo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Good.
That works.
That works very well. Okay, what's the next down that we have to complete?
Well, did we ever do Mr. X's best friend,
the last
by the
one.
way?
Is that
Well, we have the
Carl?
last one.
Oh, it's Doha.
The
We
longest
did it.
tenured
No, we
active
did that one. It
Dallas
was
Fuel
Doha.
player. Oh, we
It's
already
Doha.
did Doha. Sorry.
Doha,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
So now we're on to the across.
Yeah.
Mr. X's best friend. Okay, Matt, what do you think this is?
Well, how many letters is it?
I assume 4, but I don't know. Oh, no, it's not 4. It's a
Oh.
lot. I thought it was going to
Huh?
be Carl.
that was gonna be
So did
Hugo.
I. What the hell is this?
Mr. X's best friend.
All right. Well, Samwise Gamgee almost fit. Almost, but not quite. Didn't quite fit.
What could that even be?
Mr. X's best friend, and it's like, what, 9 letters? Matt doesn't know any words that are 9 letters long.
That's a good point.
I was seeing if Mitch Leslie fit in there, but that didn't even fit either. So I have no fucking clue.
Well,
Second
also,
letter T.
the second letter is T, and we also have O as like the third to last letter.
I think I know what it is, but it doesn't make much sense.
What do
I
you
don't know.
think it
Multiple
is?
words too.
Because
Oh, it could be multiple words, yeah.
yeah, because what I think they want to say is a step stool.
Oh!
But I was like, it could be a box, but like obviously box is.
Yeah, that does fit though. Because
It
I know
does fit.
we know for a fact that it's Dante and Nori. We know that it's Dante. And
Yeah,
Nori
it has
for
to
both
be
of those.
Dante and
Which
Nori.
It has to be.
I've never used a step stool. It's a box. It's like that would be if I was climbing things.
No, I
don't
think you
climb anything.
used one. I think when you interviewed Channing Frye.
Oh, you
I did. I
You did.
did.
Yeah. Also, is that what you call them in America? Step stools.
Yes, we call them
That-
step stools.
That sounds like you're related to them, but not by blood. That's
Well,
really
you're not.
weird.
You are related to them in a way because we're all made of atoms.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, right. We have a cosmic
Yeah.
relation to
we have a
everything in the
cosmic
universe.
relationship.
Thanks,
but
Carl
not
Sagan.
directly.
Via the force.
Okay, 7 across. The most selfless of coaches.
Seffi, right? This
Yeah,
had the
it's
S in
Seffi.
it.
It's
like for
Seffi.
Brad.
Could
Yeah.
be old Brad Rajani.
Brad Rajani.
7 across. Where are we
Power
looking? There it is.
Champion.
Sephy.
Got to be
What is 8 across, Matt? Read it out for me.
that's 9. It would
sorry,
be
9.
power lifter turned champion. I can read them out, Kurt, if you want to just do the puzzle.
Powerlifter turned champion.
Where's
Where
9?
where is it?
I
Starts
can't
with an
think of
F.
this one.
Starts with an F.
Oh, really?
Wait,
Yeah.
let me think about this.
I
Powerlifter
thought it
turned
was-
champion.
It's Fleta.
Oh, I see.
I thought it was like Zarya, like she
Yeah.
like a lifter in the game and stuff.
Yeah.
The Fleta deadlift.
Okay.
What a deadlift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Number 10, a no longer faceless man. It's right there. I think it's Kevster.
Kevster. Yeah, it's Kevster.
13 is flex
K-E-V-S-T-E-R.
DPS, and then it says flex includes main tank. That is check matey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
My main
Check
man,
matey.
check matey.
Less of the checking.
They
more
kind
of
of
the
gave it
mating.
away with the other thing. 15 across is 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Is that the AKM blade?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
That's the AKM.
Yes, it is.
That's a good. Well, that is incredible.
I like that one. That's
How'd
really
you get
good.
it so fast?
I saw the time 3 minutes 45 seconds. Is
It's
burned
a
into my
standardized
brain.
Yeah.
time measurement.
16 across is a Parisian German.
German. Who was a German player on Paris?
Um.
Don? No.
Don?
No,
No.
Don was
Don?
Netherlands,
Wait.
right?
It's either Dan or Khan, and I can't remember which of them was German.
Isn't
Khan.
it
I just
Khan?
guessed that.
Well, I don't think it's Don. Yep, it's Khan. It's Khan.
Is Dan
K-A-N.
Dutch?
He's
I think
he's
Yeah, I
Dutch.
think
Yeah,
so.
Dan
he's
is
Dutch,
Dutch,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, Don's Dutch. So it's Khan.
It was double
K-A-A-N.
A.
Oh, double A. Yeah, double A.
The fact checker's gonna ruin us if we spell it double N.
17. The opposite of bold. That is shy.
Yeah.
Ah,
Wow.
I
Sure.
see.
Yeah.
Look at Matt
Yeah.
go. Popping
Not
off.
bad. Not bad.
18 is the Rat King.
Jake,
Jake. Yeah.
which is not the greatest thing to be known as, honestly. The Rat King.
19 is Egg.
Oh, but there
Don't know
we
who
go.
that is.
Put it in.
Well, I
Bren.
think that's me.
Uncle Egg.
Uncle Egg. Literally not bald. Haven't been bald in so long, but people just clamor for me to be bald
late.
again, I
20
guess.
is the Lindholm's white cat.
Oh,
that cat has
motherfucker,
a
I don't-
name.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
The Lindholm's white cat. That's
It's
the
like the
Brigitte,
cat
right?
of Reinhardt in Brigitte.
Brigitte's
oh, no,
cat.
Torb,
That
of Torb and
cat.
Brigitte.
I have no idea what Brigitte's cat is
I'm
called.
Googling it.
Yeah, fucking Google.
Wait, does-
that
I know,
one.
I'm Googling it.
Wait, we could probably come up with the idea before we cheat. Wait, there's no other clues.
Dude, how did you want to...
Jonathan, give me. We were talking cat names earlier on. Give me a classic Swedish cat name.
Hilda.
Hilda, it probably is. Bro, that
Actually,
fits.
it fits. It fits.
I don't want to cheat,
You had
but
to Google that.
I think that might be accurate.
No, I didn't even find it. I searched Brigida cat, and it came out as Jetpack cat. So, because that was like the concept.
Hilda,
for Brigida.
leave it.
I think Hilda might be correct. I think that's good.
Yeah, leave Hilda. Fuck it.
22. We got the 22. 24.
So, no, we've done them all
Oh, we got
apart
that
from
one.
21 down.
Oh shit, we're down to just that one.
Yeah, the last one is
fuck.
last second throw. Does
Go back to it?
scriptwriters fit with everything else that we've got? It does, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Wait, hold on. Go back to it.
Last second throw.
Are those? Oh, that's an I. Oh,
It's an
I was
I.
gonna say Nene. I was like maybe Nene, like he
Oh,
threw that
wow.
game.
I mean, that would be brutal. I
But that
mean,
wouldn't even fit though. Yeah.
Help us, Kurt.
it would kind
Because
of
even if it was
fit.
Shadow Council, it wouldn't fit.
Yeah. Well, if it was Shadow Council, it would almost be harder because then you've got D something
D and an
E.
I.
D something E would only be like dull, like DLE or Bren, we need your help. We need your help desperately. Wait, have you already done the Overwatch crossword? Okay, come here. We've finished the whole Overwatch crossword, right? Overwatch
Except
League set a
one.
crossword, apart from 21 down. It's 5 letters. The clue is last second throw. And it's something I, something E. Last second throw.
We have no idea. We have no idea. We're lost.
Yeah, we're
Bren.
stumped.
Do you have
Last
any
second
ideas?
throw?
Sideshow?
No, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit.
Sadly, it doesn't fit.
I mean, bride
Throwing-
fits. But that
Bride?
it doesn't mean anything. I'm just thinking about
I'm gonna-
words in the English
Bride.
language
Okay,
that
wait.
fit.
I'm gonna propose something crazy. So 9 fits in that. What if it's just C and then
C9.
9?
Oh, it's
my
just
God.
C9.
Oh
like the
my
letter
God,
C
it's
and then
C.
9.
Yeah, because
Oh,
9.
If it is,
fits.
that's really dumb.
I fucking hate that. I fucking
But
hate
also,
that.
we did UO Manoa, right? So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the
You owe
answers was
Manoa.
you owe Manoa, as in University
is
of
that
Manoa.
literally it? You owe Manoa?
I don't know.
I
We
don't
don't know
know.
whether that's correct. We're just.
no clue.
What? Sorry. Yeah, one of them was Sustroming. Yeah. Wait, what is that note at the bottom left? This thing about multiple and spaces. Answers with multiple words do not include spaces. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, yeah. For crossword aficionados such as us, we already knew that. Don't worry.
Obviously.
I can
Is
relate
there
to
a-
my grandma now, where it's
Can
like,
we-
if
can
you have
we check
complaints about the
this?
crossword, send it to.
Can we check this? Is there like a finished version somewhere that we can check
I'm
we got it
looking here.
correct?
I'm gonna go to the original Overwatch League tweet. and
Are they
let's
like?
There's,
Did they
uh,
actually put out like an answer thing, or?
see.
is
I'm
it-
looking to see if they put out an answer.
Under the tweet, there's like other people.
There's other people that have selected, but I don't want to look at that. I just want to look for the answers. I'm shielding my eyes.
It doesn't matter. We've locked in the answers anyway, Connor. We've already
I
done
mean,
it.
there's no answer key. It looks like they just put it out here to torment.
We've been trolled. We've been trolled.
There's no answer key.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people seem to just be writing U Hawaii. It's like University of Hawaii.
That's some
instead of
bullshit.
UO
Can't be that.
Manoa.
It can't be that. There's no way. I refuse to believe that that's the answer.
It absolutely can't be.
I refuse to believe.
People are torn.
I refuse.
I refuse to believe that the University of
Wait a
Manoa
minute.
at Hawaii has been boiled down to U Hawaii. That's just
What did we
nonsense.
answer? What did we answer for 23 down?
But we did call it U of H, right? We did call it U of H.
UH?
Right?
Wait, it
UH.
could. You know what? No, that wouldn't make sense because I'm just saying
UH
because
Manoa. Okay, a lot of people are saying UH Manoa.
Why
I
UH?
saw a U Hawaii as well.
What,
Yeah,
what
but
does
no, I was
We're
UH
at
mean?
Manoa though, right?
Most
What-
people are UH Manoa.
You know? Oh wait, because is it called University of Hawaii at Manoa? Have I got it
Yeah.
backwards in my head?
Yeah.
Oh
it's U of
shit! I
H.
thought it was called University of Manoa at Hawaii, but that doesn't make any
No,
sense.
It's
So
U,
UH Manoa.
U of H and Manoa. or
UH
something
Manoa
like that.
makes so much more sense, dude. I'm so stupid. I've
I
led
mean,
us
to be
astray
fair, this
there.
is but to be fair, this is kind of a dumb crossword. Like, why would we have to do UH Manoa in this? And also, I'm looking through it. It seems like the only answers I've seen that filled out 21 down is C9 with a C.
Right.
That has to be C9 then.
So what about Hilda? Are other people saying Hilda?
Yeah. Did other people put Hilda?
No way.
It's Mitzi.
Mitzi?
And we just leave Hilda. We're leaving Hilda.
Yeah, it's Mitzi.
Hilda's such a better name for the cat.
I demand they get a second cat called Hilda.
Yeah, it's a Mitzi.
Leave it as Hilda.
I like Hilda.
Change the lore.
But everything else, I think we got everything else.
Hilda.
It looks like from community answers, it seems like we got everything the same. So seems like so either everyone's stupid or we are mostly correct. Besides Mitzi and the spelling of Manoa.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah.
That leads us on to then our final and most important segment of the week. Every week, it's Bren's Player of the Week. And currently, Bren is in the kitchen and hasn't conferred with me as to who his Player of the Week is. So, Bren knows who it is. I was going to pick one, but Bren's going to pick one himself, I think.
Can I suggest Kurt for that innovative technology right there, drawing on the pad?
A round of applause at the very least for Kurt for his innovative technology for filling out the crossword
I don't know what
puzzle.
I was doing, but I think I did okay.
Yeah, even though he writes his N's and his G's backwards, which I'll never forget.
That was really cool.
Bren's Player of the Week this week
who is it? Science.
Anatoly Bogorsky.
What did he do?
Anatoly Bogorsky.
What did they do?
Okay.
Born 25th of June 1942. He's a retired Russian particle physicist. And I found this out the other day. He is known for surviving a radiation incident in 1978 when a high-energy proton beam from a particle accelerator passed through his brain. He survived. It was horrible. They thought he was going to die. They just monitored him in a hospital. Horrible accident. He survived. Get this in the aftermath. Hold on, I'm pulling up the article now. He survived, completed his PhD, and continued working as a particle physicist. Virtually no damage to his intellectual capacity, and just went on to live his life. Continued his PhD.
Where are you learning about this?
It's pretty cool. I think not what happened to him. That's not cool at all. But it's nice that he survived such a horrific accident, went on, and he was living his life.
What about
79 years of age?
Today? Is the Macho Man Randy Savage's birthday?
Well,
Jesus Christ!
Well, what are they doing to the Earth? They're mounting it.
Dude, this is what the elites don't want you to see.
What the hell is
science is doing to us?
Dude, oh my God. What is going on in this gift, man?
Why are they so curious
just
about Sweden?
Mounting the Earth.
Or Spain.
Not safe for work.
Damn. Big Pharma at it again, huh?
Anyway.
Well,
take the mic off. Mate.
okay. That was nice.
Yeah, I don't know where Bren is learning about
where is he
particle
learning? Is
physicists.
this chat linking you these
I
random
assume
scientists?
it's his Twitch chat that are linking him these things, but at the same time, that person isn't renowned for discovering anything, are they? They just
He
survived.
just survived.
They just survived.
I've survived this long too.
Well, you haven't survived having a particle accelerator shot at your head. And I like the way that Bren said it's not cool what happened to him. Like the people that go into schools and say, doing drugs is not cool. And yeah, kids, shooting particle accelerators at your own head, it's not cool. Don't do it. No one thinks you're big or you're clever. It's not cool.
It's your favorite band's lead singer's birthday, Josh.
Who's this going to be?
It's the lead singer of Nickelback's birthday. Chad Kroeger. It's his birthday.
Yeah. Can you sing me some Nickelback?
I don't fucking know a Nickelback song.
You don't know a single Nickelback song. They're really, really famous.
No, I just know people hate them.
You're telling me you don't know that? Look at this photograph. You don't know that song.
Oh, that's them?
I mean, I think that's one of their worst, but it's probably their third most famous, isn't it?
It's like one of the most famous. It's the memeiest song of theirs.
Yeah, it's the memeiest, but like the rock star song and what was the
I'm gonna be a rock star.
Yeah, and then what was the other one? The This Is How You Remind Me. This is how you remind me of what I really
Holy
am.
shit! I'd rather take a fucking particle gun to the face than listen to this bollocks.
All right. Well, that does it for
more
episode
brain cells than that fucking
113.
dude. I should get fucking Bren's Player of the Week.
That does it for episode 113. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.